I understand why people were upset. I completely get it.
Who is the best One Piece YouTuber?
Ooh, that's actually tough. My partner manager checked in on me. My sponsors checked in on me. They were like, are you good? Like, is everything okay?
Who is the worst One Piece YouTuber?
Oh,
You
man.
said you were gonna pass it.
No, hold on. I have to think of the name. I feel like the big thing for me in recent years is I really have made a concerted effort to move away from as much anime and manga content.
Can you tell us why Aaron was right?
Here's the thing. Okay.
No,
Can we
okay.
get into
Oh,
this?
God.
I kind of love this.
we can
I
get
kind of
into
love this. Let's do this. Let's get into this. All right. I don't feel very strongly about a lot of other ships. One Piece, I feel strongly about 2. I love. There's a lot. I think that sets up that fight, and I think that's a fight that not as many people are talking about, but I do feel like will be end game, like final at laugh tail potential fight.
You said before that people either love you or hate you. Why do you think that is?
It's the right way to word this. I feel like
It's been a long time coming, but we finally got him. For the season 1 finale of Adulting in Anime, we are joined by Roger's Base. Whether it's talking One Piece, Nintendo, or anything in between, Roger brings an infectious high energy and passion to everything he talks about. In this episode, we cover a wide variety of topics, from Sergeant Frog and Attack on Titan to YouTube as a platform, how it's changed, and what that means for the anime and manga space. And of course, we talk extensively about One Piece. How could we not? From final battles and matchups, upcoming reveals, theories about how and when One Piece will end, our favorite One Piece ships, and I'm not talking about no pirate ships, galley law. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. Pun intended. Iceberg, ships, galley law. You get it. If you didn't catch our Reagan episode, this video is part 2 of a 3-part video that we did with Reagan and Roger, the final part of which will be a game featuring the both of them. A game where they will be pitted against each other. A game that has made other relationships crumble. So stay tuned for that. But for now, we hope you enjoy our conversation and the final interview of season 1 of Adulting in Anime with the one and only Roger's Base. Roger. We finally got you, dude.
you sure did. Thank you for having me.
I don't know how many times.
I think we planned this initially during when you saw me at Frankenson with Adam.
It got
And
so
I was
bad I
like-
had to hunt you down.
I'm like, what is Josh doing here? What's going on? Like, how are you guys at Frankenson right now? Because like obviously I know we both live like in the LA area.
Right.
So I was like, okay, obviously you're gonna run into people sometimes that you know. But the second that you were there, I was like, oh, this is weird. Because it's the crossover of like my online friends and then my in real life friends. And now this is like what, the 3rd time we've actually hung out like in real life. So you're crossing over now into the border of like, oh no, actually an IRL friend and not an internet friend.
We
So
were
there
on
you
the
go.
line.
You were on the line.
We were
You're
on
now
the
here.
line.
That's
We
on the
brought you over. Yeah.
It was crazy because we were like randomly live streaming that day.
Yeah, in my
That's
car. And then in the corner of my eye.
And
It
we
was kind
didn't
of like
even
a
see
big,
you,
it was like a
or you
Bigfoot
did.
sighting, honestly.
A Bigfoot
It really was. It was like, I was like, oh yeah, we have figures. And I was like, is that Roger Base? And I'm like looking at you walk and I'm like, that's him. And Josh's like, no, it's not. I was like, no, that's him.
Oh my God, it's Roger Base.
You're a liar.
No, I swear to God.
It is.
It's Roger.
I swear
right
to God, that's not a joke.
No, it's literally like he's right there.
That's 100% Roger.
And the chat was like, wait, what?
Yeah. And of course the chat's like, go get him.
Go get him, obviously. Yeah, it's straight.
Also,
Yeah.
dude, I was like, yo, he's at Frankenstein's right
That'd
now.
be
Like,
so
minding
funny,
his
though.
own business. You weren't recording anything.
Tony would have loved it though if you would have gone to that booth, because Tony is my buddy who runs that video game booth that you guys saw me at. I stop by his booth every single time that I'm there. He would have loved that. He'd been like, "Here's our card. Come get this thing from the booth. Like, here's what's on
Right.
sale." So
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I just wanted to have this on the.
Oh,
This is a picture of me and my mom.
that's so cute.
Yeah. I just didn't know if you wanted to make any jokes.
Oh, no. Oh, to be fair. No. To be fair. That's so funny.
You're so funny.
I didn't know where this was going for a second. I'm like, that's so cute. Thank you for opening up your life and showing me this picture
no
of Buffalo.
idea
I was like,
either.
where is this going? No, you're talking about the now famous tweet about that if your mother had waited 10 minutes, then maybe you wouldn't have been born, that I said. So that obviously there's a whole video about that, the Rogers Base incident thing. But I do think that is a very like funny conversation.
I think so too.
I think
Yeah,
it's
because
yeah.
I do feel like I understand why people were upset. I completely get it, because out of context, you see that tweet, you see a very innocuous like quote tweet. You're going, why the heck is this dude like blowing up? Especially if you don't know me and you're not used to like do-rag Roger. You're not used to Japan time Roger. You're not used to me. You're just used to like me normally where I'm just excitable and talking about One Piece and Nintendo or whatever. So when you see that type of tweet, you're like, oh my God, what the heck? But I also thought, and I said this even on my own stream, I'm like, the pearl clutching in that situation was so unreal. Because you click on any of those quote tweets and it was like actual vile death threats people were sending me, like them also like saying wild stuff about other people, not the guy that I quote tweeted, but like other people that involved themselves in it. And I was just like, this got way out of hand. And I think went beyond our reach.
I mean, this is just a joke.
It's funny.
Silly.
No, of course. That's actually hilarious though, that you brought up a photo of your mom. It's so funny.
I watched a bit of that stream because I was curious to hear what you had to say, right? Not that I thought what you said was like crazy at all. You were,
but you're also like, I gotta know.
I mean, the clickbait got me.
Of course.
But you said something in that stream that I liked. You said, look, I have so many people telling me that I'm not relevant like every day.
Sure, of course.
But then the moment I do something like this, they're talking about how I'm using my voice to spread like
exactly.
They're putting you on like this crazy pedestal, like you're not just a person on the internet.
Like, am I
and
relevant
that's all
or am
we
I
are
not relevant?
at the end of the day. I think people forget that because there's this weird like parasocial line that I feel like people cross constantly with content creators where it's like, oh, you should either be like my best friend and be super nice to me or like you should agree with everything that I say. And I feel like things just get way too muddied now to the point where it's like, again, I'm 34. Look, I don't need to be arguing about manga online. And I feel like the problem is, and Reagan can attest to this, sometimes I just kind of like it. Yeah. Sometimes I just kind of like it. Sometimes there's a tweet out there and I'm just like, but you're so stupid. And I just need to tell you.
Yeah, you have to. Someone's got to.
Of course.
Someone's got to.
I have to hold myself back sometimes.
I do.
I really do.
That's my problem. I don't hold myself back. And then I get in situations in which people think.
Well, it's like our channel is our channel. So
of course.
I feel like what keeps me in check is knowing that like I'm not just speaking on like my behalf. You know what I mean? So I think vice versa for you as well, because you hold yourself back sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
Too.
I do.
See, the beauty of it though is like you shouldn't. I'm not saying like I'm not encouraging anybody to make your mom jokes or whatever, but I am saying that like I'm not. I promise I am not.
He is.
But
They're funny.
I do think legitimately people take things too seriously. I think there's been like a line that's been crossed recently in terms of like social media where it used to just be fun. Like Twitter was just like a fun thing. You could go and share your thoughts or whatever. It didn't really become this big serious thing. Now every other week there's like some type of drama about something innocuous that people will then jump onto the next thing a day or two later and they've completely forgotten about it. Like the amount of people that were so vitriolic during that first day when I made that stream and I'm like, okay, I'll just talk about this. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Like it was absurd. The amount, like my partner manager checked in on me. My sponsors checked in on me. They were like, are you good? Like, is everything okay? Because they were seeing all the horrible stuff that was sent my way. And then it was ironic because then you then had people like shooting like messages to my sponsors being like, is this how you want him to talk to people? And they're like, this is a your mom joke. Like I feel like anybody over the age of 12 understood what was going on there.
It's a sport now for people.
It is for sure.
It just also, I think it just hit at the wrong time. It was a break week. I think it also like, and admittedly, I even said this on that live stream, it was a little too mean. And I think it was also mean the way I was interacting with chat during the live stream beforehand that really set things off. And I think that's probably what kicked off that initial thing was I was talking about the 10-minute timer, which again, didn't end up amounting to anything. But as you guys know, we're week to week readers, right? We need to know what's up every single week. So I'm not speaking from the perspective of, oh, the Egghead arc is over. These are the things I liked and I didn't like. I'm speaking from the perspective of, I am reading this week to week. This seems like a good chapter this week. This seems like a bad chapter. And again, it's like, I didn't even say the chapter was bad in that. And I just was like, it was an okay chapter. And then as soon as someone in the chat was like, well, you're being so spoiled, that's when I went off. That's when I was like, okay, you're the worst kind of One Piece fan, whatever. But to be fair, and Reagan knows this too, because she's been with me for so long, this is not even the first time this has happened. This happened with Big Mom's amnesia. This happened with the Yamato stuff. I mean, this has happened like multiple times.
Yeah.
I think the thing I've learned from this situation is like, this is probably the last time it's going to happen in the way in which it happened. Because Twitter's off my phone and
Because you had even mentioned I don't know about the chapter stream, but in the response video where you were addressing it, you had even mentioned, and I didn't know this, that you stopped reading One Piece.
Oh yeah.
For a period of time.
There was a chunk of time after Big Mom's amnesia amnesia in Wano, where I was like, I can't do this week to week anymore. It's tough. Like I love One Piece, obviously. It's my favorite thing. Like it will always be my favorite thing, regardless of what people on the internet say. And so I feel like, I knew for myself, I'm like, I got to take a break from this for a little bit because I don't necessarily love where the direction of the story is going. Obviously, Wano ended up fine. There were still issues I had with it, but for the most part, ended up pretty okay.
Yeah.
But that amnesia trope, just again, it happened after coming off of Whole Cake Island and Dressrosa with a lot of other things, like with the timers, right? With Gear 4 and Luffy then having to wait with the timer, with Whole Cake running through the seducing woods. Again, Big Mom chasing them every chapter.
Yeah.
Literally chapters ending with the exact same panel of Sanji being like, I'm going to make the cake. And it's like, okay, buddy, like, where's the cake then? Like, what's going on? You know? So I feel like it was coming off of a lot of that where I just realized like, I just got to take a break from this. If I want to still be as in love with the series as I am, I got to stop for a little bit. And that's when I watched Hunter x Hunter for the first time. And I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah. I think that out of the two of us, you feel that more than I do.
Oh, yeah.
The week-to-week experience is a completely different
It's a way, I mean, we're spoiled and we became week-to-week readers during pretty much Egghead, the end of Wano.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just went right into it and it's been like the best arc, arguably.
Yeah, you got lucky.
Yeah, I
you
know.
didn't have to go through Birdcage every week.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, reading week to week and being like creators, you know, just like you have to say something of meaning every chapter that you read, but not as a whole yet, just week to week, like you said. And it is challenging because you kind of have to, what are we doing? And then you have to read it again when you read it as a whole, and then you see things that you didn't see before. And it is like reading One Piece because we've only read it once all the way through.
Sure.
You know, there's people that I've read it all the way through like 7 times. I'm like, oh, yeah, but I've only read it once.
Yeah, right.
So please be nice to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot week to week.
I mean, that's a big reason. We were just talking about this in the car literally before we came. That's a big reason why my streams became streams. Because I used to upload reviews and reactions as videos separately. And then it got to the point where, like, just like you said, I read it like 1 or 2 times. I need to share my initial thoughts because it's a reaction video.
Yeah.
So I'm reacting and I'm sharing my initial thoughts. And people are like, yeah, but you said this thing wrong or this name wrong, whatever. And I was like, no, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with the comments of people saying I said this thing wrong. Why don't I just do it live and you guys can correct me live and then I'll know better, you'll know better, and we'll all have a good time.
Yes.
And it's been great. Like, I genuinely love doing them live. I think it's a lot of fun. It makes it like an event. You know, I've got my thumbnail artist who does like the images every week, and then it's like he reveals something during it. We have the super chat discussions with the theories, and it's a blast. Yeah.
I mean, I think that experiencing it with the community is super fun in a live situation, because as long as everybody understands that we're all experiencing this for the first time.
Yes.
And honestly, a lot of people aren't going to have like extremely different things to say all the time about such a limited amount of content.
Of course,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
But there is this pressure to be like, oh, like I have to have the most correct theory.
And you don't, right?
You don't.
And in fact, I feel like there was a time period when I was sort of coming up on YouTube where it was like theories were everything, right? People were like, dude, we got to crank out theories of everything. But now we're so close to the end that I almost feel like it's cheap. I'm like, we're now at a point where I do feel like legitimately there are people out there who've uploaded theory videos who like know the end of One Piece.
Yeah.
Who've said and I do think it's out there now. I think we're close enough to the ending and enough has been revealed that people can piece it together. And so that kind of removes the fun of it for me. The fun of it, like doing theories pre, Dressrosa or like Whole Cake, right, is what's going to happen with the Yonko fights? Like what are the eventual matchups? What are the bounties going to be? And now, again, we're so close to the end. Gear 5 is like Luffy's peak, right?
Yeah.
Gear 5 is Gear 5.
That's it. Yeah.
So you can't, I mean, there might be other things that he does in Gear 5, but there's no like theorizing what the next gear is or what the next power up is.
Yeah. It's more not necessarily, I mean, like obviously the end of One Piece is the theory that everyone should be looking for, but it's more like, oh, whose backstory are we going to get next?
Right.
Right.
And even then, I feel like so much of that, because of the way the story's been put in place and because we kind of know like what we need to see by the end, you could pretty much chart out, like if you actually sit down and do it, what things need to be hit before the end of the series, what things unfortunately might be skipped, because Oda might not have the time to do them, or he might not want to spend the time on that thing. And then what things are like integral, like what are the islands you have to go to by the ending? And I mean, it's clear based on where we are in Egghead right now, like Elbaf is the next destination, right? And I think people have been saying for such a long time, like, we have to get to Elbaf, we have to get to Elbaf. And now we're here and we're in the final saga. And I'm seeing people being like, yeah, but there's all these other islands we have to get to. It's like, no. None were hyped up as much as Elbaf was. Like Elbaf is very important.
I feel like it has to be Elbaf. Laugh Tale. Like
I think it's close. Yeah.
Or Oda's just like, ha ha ha, you thought we're going to Elbaf. No. Because
he
Oda
did say
loves
in
doing
that
that.
He does
message
love
that
doing that.
He released, he said like, I forgot how he worded it, but he said like, that's where I have it planned that they're going to go.
But something could change.
Right.
Exactly.
Like almost like they could change the course of like my plan.
Yeah.
In a way, which I thought was like a fun way to say that.
But Oda knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like we could have critiques as people who are reading it week to week. But at the end of the day, like I do trust that he's going to wrap it up in a good way. Right. Like I'm not too worried about it the same way I was worried about a lot of other series I used to read where it's like we're getting close to the end or things going to rush. I feel like Oda's taking his time. I do feel that we're probably going to have a big major milestone in 2027 because that's the big like 30th anniversary. And if you look at the amount of volumes that have been released of One Piece in the pre-time skip and post-time skip era, realistically, if he wanted to end the series in 2027, he could end the series with an exact 120 volumes, 60 pre-time skip, 60 post-time skip, and 1,200 chapters if he wanted to do that.
That's crazy.
Now, that's close to where we are now, right? We're like 1,100 when we're recording this, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you think about 100 chapters away, we could be looking at the end of the series, but you take breaks into account. We usually get like 3 a week. I mean, that lines up with 2027.
I don't think
and
that's
it's scary.
possible.
It is scary.
It's not.
You
I know.
don't want it to be.
I know. I'm right there with you. Where
Yeah.
it's like, it's almost like this seems impossible.
Yeah.
But then when you think about the potential for Elbaf and what could happen there, and what's already been set up in Egghead with the other Yonko, the potential Final Road Poneglyph being part of the Library of Ohara that has the remnants that Saul is holding on to in Elbaf. Like, it could all definitely merge together in a way where, like, Elbaf could potentially even be the beginning of the Final War, right? Like, the Final War could kick off there with revolutionaries in Marijoa, Shanks doing his thing, Buggy doing his own thing, and then they all go to Laugh Tale. But again, wrapping that up in 100 chapters seems like near impossible, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm not necessarily sure I believe the whole like 60-60 thing anymore, but I do think like by the time we get to One Piece's actual 30th anniversary, which also lands on a Monday in Japan, which is when the chapters come out officially, it's like they're going to do something huge.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have to.
It's going to be
The Emu reveal.
Yeah.
I think Emu's going to be revealed by the end of Egghead. I did that in like my prediction video at the beginning of this year. I think the Gorosei are going to suffer some type of loss, not necessarily like dying or anything, but like a loss at Egghead, right? The incident.
Yeah.
And I think Emu's going to read it in the newspaper and you're going to see the close-up of his face and you're going to see the actual face reveal.
That would be crazy.
That's what I think we're going to get.
Crazy.
Where it's like, I sent all the Gorosei out there.
Yeah.
They didn't stand on business in the way I thought they were going to. It's my turn now. And that's...
that would be so
right?
crazy.
It's like, if you're going to do an Emu reveal,
That's the way to do it.
that's the way to do it. Yeah.
Okay, Roger,
Yeah.
we have so many things to
Let's
get through.
go, baby. I'm ready.
Speaking of
Speaking of mothers, I'm like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, where are you going with that?
speaking of baby Josh here.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of baby Josh,
Oh, childhood.
so what was the anime that started it all for you, Roger?
So I think the easy answer is Pokemon, right? Like Pokemon to me was everything. As a kid growing up in the 90s, 1988, 1989, Pokemania was everywhere. I was obsessed with it, the cards, the games, the TV show. But the real thing that actually got me into anime is Sergeant Frog.
Sergeant Frog!
Bro,
Let's go!
I am a diehard Sergeant Frog fan. Like when they announced a couple weeks ago that they're doing a big 20th anniversary
I didn't even know
anime
that.
remake thing, bro, I was losing my mind. I cannot tell you like how much of an impact Sergeant Frog had on me as a
love
kid.
Sergeant Frog.
Had I not started reading Sergeant Frog, I never would have read One Piece.
That's crazy.
Never. Because what
Wow.
happened was I remember going to Barnes & Noble with my dad. Well, it was Borders at the time.
Borders.
But we would go to both. Shout out to Borders.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Rest in peace,
R.I.P.
Borders.
Yeah.
But I would go to Borders and Barnes & Noble with my dad, and I would go specifically for two reasons. One, to read Sergeant Frog volumes.
Yeah.
And two, because Shonen Jump used to have the Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the
back
actual
of the
physical
physical
Shonen Jump.
volumes,
Right.
yeah.
So my dad would take me and I would go get a Jump. And one of the Jumps didn't have the Yu-Gi-Oh card in it. Like it was an already open one. Some kid like opened the thing up and took the card. And so I was like, what the heck is this? So I was looking through it to see if someone left the card and I found One Piece in it. And I'm like, what is this? And I saw it was a chapter from Serp Village. And I was like, randomly, I'm reading this. I'm like, this seems kind of interesting. This is cool. Like maybe I'll get into this a little bit later. Jump to a couple months later. My dad took me again. I got one of those Shonen Jumps and it was the chapter. I remember this specifically. It was Usopp versus Chew in Arlong Park.
That's crazy.
And that's when I started reading it week to week. Like I started reading it regularly from that age.
And how old were you?
Wow,
at that
yeah.
time?
I would have been 14
Wow.
13. I mean, 2003, 2004.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I remember the physical volumes too.
Oh, yeah.
And it would just have a bunch of different chapters in it. And I think it was like maybe 5 series ongoing at one time, but it was those thick boys.
The big, thick boys.
The big, thick boys.
And they had all the little promotions in there for like the games at the time because 4Kids was still making the One Piece anime. It wasn't Funimation.
Right.
And like there was just a whole bunch of other stuff going on at the time. The big 3 was running rampant with Bleach and with Naruto and One Piece. It was like
that was my introduction to anime. Like,
me too. Yeah.
I was Naruto, Bleach, but I wasn't One Piece until much later. Much later.
And that's funny because I am one of the few people that I know that started with One Piece. I didn't watch Naruto for the first time until 3 years ago. Literally, that's the first time I saw Naruto was 3 years ago. I still haven't finished Bleach. Still haven't finished it.
I think Bleach is something that needs to be finished, especially with this new arc.
I will. Yeah.
I still haven't watched any.
She hasn't watched Naruto,
which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
And I'm caught up on to the anime. Most of Bleach we've read and watched, but
that
Naruto
early
I
era
haven't.
is just so good though.
I know. That'll be my check. The big 3 check.
That's right. That's right.
It really will.
Yeah, but for me, I think for Sergeant Frog, going back to it real quick, it's just like the humor of it and the references to video games, I think are kind of what like initially hooked me. Because I mean, people know this if you watch my channel, it's like anime and video games. Those are always my 2 big things.
Yeah.
Like when I'm not watching an anime or reading a manga, I'm playing a video game, specifically Nintendo. And there's so many like Nintendo references buried in Sergeant Frog or like Gundam references that are buried in Sergeant Frog because they're owned by the same parent company. And I loved it, man.
I was obsessed with Sergeant Frog. It was Sergeant Frog and another really niche anime is Zatch Bell. That was
really niche anime. Yeah, that has a GameCube game, bro.
No, it does have a
like
GameCube
Zatch
game.
Bell is not
but
niche.
If you ask, I mean, 8
there's
out of
not a
10
lot.
anime fans probably don't know what Zatch Bell
I didn't know what Zatch Bell was until you showed it to me.
When I saw that,
no
like
idea.
Brago's like avatar was like Brago from Zatch Bell.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, oh my god.
It clicked. You're like, wait a minute.
I was like, we're out here.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know we were out here like that.
Yeah, we are. We are. I never, unfortunately, watched Zatch Bell regularly, but like obviously they always had the commercials on Toonami, and it was always right there, like with the Tokyo Pop volumes and the old Viz volumes in Barnes & Noble, where I'm like, what's this thing with the doll? I don't know. I'm going to go back to reading my Frog Alien series, you know. But it's just so much fun. And it really is fun to go back to this day. Like there is a certain nostalgia that's tied to it, but it's also just a genuinely funny little series. I mean, Frog Aliens that play video games. Like what?
I love the character designs of them too. They're like a bunch of different frogs.
Yeah. Also on the topic of moms, since we're talking about moms, the mom in Sergeant Frog, 10 out of 10. Aki Hinata, bro.
Wait, okay, we're talking about like
right
comedy or talking about something else?
No.
he's
The
talking
mom
about-
in the show, Sergeant Frog. So basically,
Ain't nothing funny about it.
there's nothing funny about this. Nothing funny about this. The frogs basically are adopted by this kid and his sister.
Okay.
That's the whole, well, one of the frogs is 2 of, whatever. It's a whole thing. We're not going to get into the lore of Sergeant Frog. But essentially, there's a boy and his sister, and the 2 of them basically take in Kuroro, who's like the main frog. And their mom, Aki, is like a manga publisher. And so like she'll show up every once in a while in the story. Aki's fine, man. Aki's got it going on. I'll tell you.
I need to see a picture.
Yeah,
Like,
look
just
up
like with
Aki
Reagan's,
Hinata.
I need to look up a picture.
I'm telling you, man.
Would this classify then as one of your childhood husbandos or waifus?
Our waifus? Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
I think, Aki would be up there for sure. Gotta think of some other ones real quick. Like childhood waifus. You know, here's something funny. I didn't grow up actively watching Dragon Ball Z.
Same. I didn't. I mean,
I was aware of it.
Yeah.
Right. It was on Toonami, but it was just the thing that was on around the time that One Piece was on. So that's like how I knew of it. But man, oh man, like I remember every time I saw Android, I was like,
oh,
I'm liking this. And then when I found out that Krillin gets to end up with her, I'm like, bro, Krillin is killing it,
hope.
man.
There's hope.
This is fantastic. Right.
There's hope for
There's
all of
hope.
us.
And now I'm with Reagan. See, look at that. It's beautiful. Everything works
Beautiful
out.
people, though.
Exactly.
Krillin, I don't know about Krillin.
I don't know about Krillin, but Android for sure. I would say, yeah, Android, Aki. Oh, I got another good one. This is semi-niche. Lorelei from Pokemon.
Who is Lorelei?
Lorelei is the ice and water type Elite Four member from Gen 1 with the glasses. She was in an episode of Pokemon, and I'm pretty sure that's when I realized, like,
yeah, like this is
nice. This is my future.
This is a thing that exists.
This is a thing that exists, yeah.
And is a part of me now.
Yes.
I really liked, I think it was like Sabrina.
The Teenage Witch?
No.
I was like, we all love Sabrina, to be fair, when we were kids, for sure.
But the psychic or ghost
Oh,
trainer.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
See, she creeped me out. I was like, she's going to give me nightmares.
That's why you,
kinda
yeah,
liked it,
I think that's
though.
why.
I get that. I'm not a nightmare person. I like my happy-go-lucky stuff.
Right.
Right.
I was like kind of goth almost. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Not my vibe.
okay.
I'm dating a Disney princess.
this
Look,
is-
that's not my.
Aki.
That's Aki. Yeah. Look
Yeah.
up Aki Hinata Sergeant Frog manga.
fan art. I mean,
Not fan art. Not fan art. It's like whatever the cover pages are.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Man, so much like
Aki's the best,
nostalgia
man.
just hit me right now.
Oh,
when
it's
I
so good.
Saw that.
Kero, 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 da 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 da. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, look, cosplay right here.
Cosplay. There you go. Right, of
Oh.
Urusei. Right.
Yeah.
She cosplays Urusei Lum. Right.
It's
right.
funny because I only know Sergeant Frog because it was referenced in an anime that I watched.
Which
So it was like a
Interesting.
reference. I think it was a. I
Like
think it was
Lucky
Lucky Star.
Star? Yeah.
Someone had a.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone had the charm on their
Yeah,
phone.
and I was
Yeah.
like, "What is that little character?"
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so
Damn.
funny.
Crazy.
I love Sergeant Frog, man. Shout out to all the Sergeant Frog goats out there. I'm telling you.
Did you ever hide your anime fandom from anybody?
Never. I have a funny story to tell you, actually. Never. So basically, in gym, when I was in high school, this is true. This is a true story.
In gym and high
In
school
gym and
is
high
the
school.
craziest start
This is the
to
way
a
to start this
sentence.
story. All right. In gym and high school, look, I was not an athletic kid at all. I was a theater kid. All right. I was a choir boy,
So was she.
theater kid, singing and dancing. Right. I was not playing sports. During gym, my teacher genuinely felt bad for me and my buddy Dominic, who were both like huge anime fans, video game fans. So she allowed us after warm-ups, instead of having to play with all the kids that were like actually on the football team who would destroy us. She's like, yeah, you guys can just do whatever you want. Do free roam exercise. So I'm not even joking. We would sit on the bleachers with our DSs and play Pokemon. I'm not even kidding you.
That's
I would do that.
awesome.
She would let us do it. And this was like during Gen 4, I guess would have
Yeah.
been like 2006 or whatever. We would sit on the bleachers trading Pokemon, playing DS, and then when they would call the bell, we'd go right back inside again. And I got an A in gym, so it was great.
I
What
don't
a
know.
nice teacher.
Got through gym class playing Pokemon. Oh, she was the best. Yeah.
I don't know how I got away with this. I don't know what teacher allowed me to do this, but I have vivid memories of playing the Naruto TCG like on the floor in the back of like my English class in high school. Like he used to let us come in at lunchtime, and so we would just sit. I don't know why we weren't at a desk, but we were on the floor.
It's better,
Playing-
more surface.
No, really, yeah. And we were just playing the Naruto TCG at the time.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
No, I never really felt the need to hide my anime thing. I think you know this. You know, it's when you're a theater kid, you let your freak flag fly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're going at it. And so for me, it was always like, yeah, I like this thing that maybe some people will find weird. But
Yeah.
then realistically, you look at it nowadays, and like anime is not only so mainstream, but is also seen as cool.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
is like wild compared to when we were growing up.
Yeah.
But I never felt any, like I was never bullied for liking anime. I was never, no one ever picked on me because it was like, you read Sergeant Frog. In fact, this is also true. There was a Japanese exchange program thing that happened during like a summer class that I took as like a fun summer history program where people came from NHK in Japan to come talk with us about World War II.
We had something I think similar to this, but
Right.
go ahead. Yeah.
So
yeah,
what
yeah.
happened was when the people came over from Japan and were talking to us about like the atomic bomb and all this other stuff, I was reading a volume of Sergeant Frog, and the guy came up to me and was like, Kuroro Ganso. And I was like, yeah, oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like I said, the thing I would read it in class and like I wouldn't hide it. I just had a blast doing it.
You
Yeah.
just unlocked a memory
Yeah.
where we had some, I think they were like Japanese foreign exchange students that were just like visiting or something
Yeah.
that came to like, I think my Spanish class.
Well,
for
because
some
we're
reason.
the same age. So
Yeah.
it was like, I forgot what the anniversary. It was either the anniversary of the dropping of the atomic bombs or something.
Uh-huh.
But NHK had this program in which people from Japan would come over, like exchange students, and then also like the actual people working on the television station
Yeah.
and would film like student debates about whether or not we should have dropped the bomb. And it was like a whole
that's
big,
crazy.
and it was wild. I know. And like, but it was
Yeah.
a cool thing that like our history class did.
Yeah.
But it was just such a funny thing to see like the people working at NHK from Japan, like coming to North America and seeing a kid reading Sergeant Frog,
Yeah,
which again, like is not a One Piece or a Naruto or a Bleach. It's a niche kind of thing.
Yeah, very.
And so yeah, from that moment on, I was like, this is cool. I can just keep reading and keep playing and
Let
do
your
my own thing.
freak flag fly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's because, you went to performing arts school, right?
Like
Lucky.
yeah.
And
But
I was-
again, I graduated 2016, so it was way more.
It was starting
Sure.
to change. It was
Yeah.
already starting.
Anime
Yeah.
by that point had already started to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
it's like,
get
you know,
that.
2014, Attack on Titan came out. Everyone's like, this is the best thing of all time.
Yeah.
So it was already like kind of past that point. It was getting super mainstream. But yeah, if I liked anime, I was in the majority at my
Yeah.
school, or if I liked anything like niche or like, cool. It was like, oh yeah, well you're just like everyone else here, and like
Right.
yeah, it was like I could equate it to maybe like victorious. People were like, it's like victorious,
Like
and I'm like, it kind of was like victorious.
I should have gone to that school.
You should
That was
have.
awesome. I would have loved to go to performing arts school. That would have been cool. My
Yeah.
school had a great performing arts program, to be fair. Like, I liked it. And I always felt comfortable, like I said, being into anime or video games or whatever. But that would have been an awesome experience.
I mean, one of these days you got to come full circle and you got to perform in a anime like production, stage production.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
We'll do a stage adaptation of Sergeant Frog at the
Oh,
Pantage. That'll be it.
yeah.
I'm down.
I'm down. I'm the behind the scenes guy.
You can do
now.
the props.
I'm
There
the
you
prop.
go.
I'm the
There
prop
you
department. I'm the
go.
guy
got
that
it.
tracks you guys with the lights.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna segue into our adulting in anime section.
Right on.
But for that, we need to do a bit of a costume change.
You got
So
it.
we'll
All
be
right.
back.
I'll be here. Eyes closed.
Eyes closed.
Let's go.
All right, Roger, you can open your eyes now.
Adults.
Yes.
A water cooler.
And a water cooler.
Trafalgar
Yes,
Law's hat that wouldn't fit on my giant head.
because it's Trafalgar D what?
Water Law.
Water.
The water cooler. See? There you go. You got me.
I don't think it could look any cooler.
Oh,
You did it.
man.
You did it.
Excellent.
You did
Good
it.
work.
You
Good
did it.
work.
Yep, we're in the adult section now. We're
Yes.
dressed as professionals because we are professionals. We're
Very
adults.
professional, Yes. I need a tie-in.
I know. We need to get a tie
I
for
should
the
have
guests.
costume changed
Yeah.
myself. Instead, I'm wearing my Rogers Space jacket.
That's your uniform.
Yeah, it's true. It's my uniform. Exactly.
So we're by the water cooler shooting the shit. We're gonna ask
on.
the hot questions. You know,
Bring 'em.
the real questions.
The real question.
I'm ready for it.
Feel free to pass any of them if you'd like. First question right out of the gate.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not passing any.
Okay,
It's not, you full send.
Roger. Who is the best One Piece YouTuber?
Ooh, that's actually tough. That's a good question. That's tough. I would say I have to give it to King of Lightning. I got to give it to King of Lightning. And here's why. I would not be doing what I do today if not for King of Lightning and for Neverworld, because I would watch them regularly in college, like just when I was, obviously still following One Piece, but also was into other anime series and they were covering it. And I was like, oh, people are making a living like talking about anime online.
Yeah.
And one of my other buddies, Shofu, who is a longtime YouTuber as well, did like video game videos, Pokemon kind of stuff. He was basically like, yeah, you really should start doing YouTube. So we started doing a podcast together. More people who were listening to the podcast were like, make a YouTube channel, Roger. Stop
Yeah.
just being on everybody else's podcast. And that brought me to where I am today. And I also just think like Cole and I share very similar energy in terms of like our excitement levels, in terms of what gets us hype, and in terms of getting in trouble with what we say. So I feel like he's my soul brother in terms of like the One Piece community. And he's been with me for a long time, gave me a lot of advice very early on. Like I think there were kind of generations of One Piece YouTubers, right? I feel like you had the originals, you had the GOATs, you had like For Neverworld and King of Lightning and like Sawyer. And then the next generation was kind of like me and Tekking and Joy Boy. And then I would say after the three of us, there was like Brago's generation.
Right.
And now it's like your generation.
Yeah.
So I'm like now too removed. I'm like an old man, right? I'm like the Sengoku that's retired now, who only streams once a week and occasionally will do an anime reaction.
I mean,
but like,
you guys are still huge fixtures in the, especially the One Piece anime YouTube space.
I mean, thank you, but I'm not gonna, to me, it's still like Cole is king. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
I mean,
pun intended.
I think what you said about Cole's energy is so true. Like,
Yes.
he has an excitement and a passion and an energy that is like infectious, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I love Cole.
And that's like on camera, and he's exactly the same way.
Exactly.
off
Which is, I
camera.
think, why we vibe too. That's
Yeah.
like, I think that's the
'cause
big
so
thing.
are you.
Right. I feel like a lot of it, and people are surprised, I think, sometimes.
No, I'm gonna be
because in the
honest.
meme, they're like, I did not think you were actually this excitable in real life. It's like, nope, I wake up like this. It's
Yeah, no,
like-
I'll be honest. I thought, like,
Yeah.
I wonder if Roger in real life
Yes.
is a little, not that you're crazy, but like,
I am, to be fair. Let's be, I am.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
like, I wonder if he's gonna be, like you said, less excitable,
Right.
I guess. But no.
No.
Roger's Roger.
Unfortunately, Roger is Roger.
But
Yes.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, come on. Some people are just like,
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You
You,
would-
turn it on
I-
for the camera,
Yeah.
right?
Much rather be that than the other.
Yeah, I will also
Yeah.
say something else though.
Go ahead.
Volume 1 is fantastic.
Thank you, dude.
he was like fishing. He's like, okay, you're not
I'm
gonna say
like,
volume.
I see the beta,
So stupid. No,
You didn't
no,
have
no,
to
no.
say that.
Yeah.
You didn't have to say
it's
that.
true,
But you
though.
did.
It's true.
Of your
No,
own free will.
No, it's true. I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys if I didn't think you guys were
We
great. Yeah.
appreciate you being here,
you.
dude. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm not good at taking any kind of
Me
compliment.
neither,
so-
clearly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
comes with our age, right? The
Right.
old age of 34.
Yeah.
With our decrepit bones and
Ooh.
Yeah, our skin wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. I know.
I mean, not yet.
No, I
not
think you both look very good. For
Thank
your
you.
age.
I
Not that
appreciate
you,
that.
not well. You're
that's a
not
compliment I
old,
can't
but
take.
you're.
We're literally the same. Well, I guess you
same.
are a little
See?
older though, to be fair.
See, you
That's
are
true.
a year.
You still managed to do it.
I don't know.
somehow.
I know. I had
1989,
to.
baby. You're
I
still an
had
80s
to.
baby.
I'm
You
an
can't
80s
get around
baby,
it. Yeah.
technically. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
born in December of '89,
There you
but I'm
go.
still an 80s
It's crazy.
baby. All right, that was a tricky question, but
That
you
is tricky.
navigated it very very
Oh
well.
yeah.
Who is the worst One Piece YouTuber?
Oh boy. Oh
You
man.
said you were gonna pass.
No. Give me a second. I have to think of the name, which is why I have to think of the name.
Shit.
This is an old theory channel. Oh my God. I have not thought about this in ages. This was an old theory channel, like early Rogers Bay. I'm talking like 2014, 2015. Early Rogers Base. Theories were like the wave, right? Like I talked about earlier, everybody was making theory videos. Joy Boy, me. There was a guy called Alpha Too Late 17 that
Never heard
like,
of him.
I guarantee you someone in your comment section is going to be like, I have not heard that name in ages.
Right.
But he also did like theory videos, kind of set the stone for what theory video formats looked like on YouTube for a long time with like, he had the Death Note music playing in the background. You had the fan art images of characters. You weren't actually showing your face. There were like a lot of things. I wish I could remember this channel's name, but I'm going to say the video.
Okay.
That made me go, this is the worst One Piece channel I've ever seen. And then if someone can find the video, you'll know who I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure this person also does not make videos anymore. If they do make videos, I'm sorry. I'll do another apology stream. But here it is. All right. But this was the theory. All right.
Okay.
The theory was that Nami and Vivi were actually sisters.
Okay.
And that Nami is actually the illegitimate child of Cobra and Big Mom. And that, yes, now you understand why I'm like, yes, that Nami is the illegitimate child of Big Mom and Cobra, and that Vivi and Nami were actually sisters, and that Vivi during the second half of the story at some point would die, and Nami would take over Alabasta as the other child that's the rightful heir to the throne
But
of
why
Alabasta.
Big Mom?
Do you remember any of the
Do
evidence?
you see why I said this is the worst One Piece YouTuber, man?
Because, like,
it makes no sense.
A lot of these theories sometimes are pretty out there, but sometimes they have evidence that
There
makes
was no
kind of
evidence backing
sense.
this up, but I remember like this was the early days of theories on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, people are just saying shit now. Like you could just make a video and say whatever you want. And it's like, so I remember when Snake Man first happened in the manga, like I was like, I'm gonna do a fun video where it's like I'm just gonna go balls to the wall with like some crazy theories.
Yeah.
And I did this theory that like Snake Man was gonna be Luffy, like utilizing the venom that was still inside of him from Magellan and Impel Down, and like being able to leak out. Like it was just crazy.
But
it made more sense
That's
than
why-
Nami and Big Mom and Cobra.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know.
And I love that it's like a resurgence of that like silliness with
Of course.
agenda. Like agenda's
course.
so
Of
funny.
course, yeah.
It's just like you could say it doesn't
That's
have to
what
have any backing, and I know
No.
it doesn't. I know it doesn't. I just want it to happen.
Yeah, that's what I love.
That's me and
about
Vivi and
the One Piece.
Kuma's fruit. I feel like that's and Randy's the same way.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
are both very much on the Kuma's fruit goes to Vivi. Vivi, Nefertari Lily had the fruit that Kuma had. That's how she spread the poneglyphs across the world. Vivi will do the same thing. Like there's a lot of things to that.
That's very sound.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
it's a very sound theory, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying like I am not someone nowadays that's like I'm all in on this theory. This thing has to happen. I'm right or not. Like I'm past that point now. I feel like I've been burned one too many times on things. I'm like I'm letting the journey ride. Right?
Yes.
But that Vivi with Kuma's fruit, I want, and Ska. I want Ska.
Oh,
Sabo kills Akainu.
Ska.
That's what I want. If anyone fights Akainu at the end, it's got to be Sabo.
You were saying this as of this recording. We recently did an agenda reverie.
Yes.
The first agenda.
It was very fun.
reverie.
Shout out to Jay.
So
Did a great
fun.
job.
Well,
Very
actually,
fun.
you weren't there. You didn't show up.
No, it's Dark Roger.
Dark
Correct.
Roger.
That's right.
was
That's
there.
right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you.
But you or Dark Roger was
Yes.
an advocate for this happening on the stream. And I was like very passionate and in agreement with you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy that anybody wouldn't want that to happen.
Right.
I feel like that like thematically comes full circle. It makes so much sense. It's beautiful. There's to me no one better than Sabo to take out Akainu with Ace's fruit.
That's exactly it. Because Akainu straight up says, your fruit will never beat mine. And the whole thing was like, obviously Ace was emotional with all the stuff that was happening during Marineford, but it's like Sabo was already entrusted Ace's fruit before he had a devil fruit, obviously. He didn't have a devil fruit. Luffy was like, I trust you enough. You're my brother. go get this for me, Sabo. And he did it during Dressrosa. So to me, I think a lot of people really want that like full 1v1 Luffy Akainu. I genuinely think at this point, like Luffy could probably wash Akainu.
Yes. Yeah.
I really, like Gear 5, Oda could do whatever he wants with that. So I feel like Luffy's sights kind of need to be on the bigger picture, on the One Piece, on like the Blackbeards, the Emus, those kind of people. I feel like Akainu is almost like a second tier in terms of the placement of final fights during the final saga. And I feel like Sabo needs to have a major fight. The revolutionaries are obviously going against the world government, who's near the head of the world government, like obviously Fleet Admiral. There needs to be some type of confrontation there. And I think the idea of Sabo like awakening Ace's fruit, which Ace may have never done, right? And awakening it, and that awakening being enough to take down Akainu would just be such a beautiful thing.
I feel like that if I had to bet on anything, I would bet on
Ska.
I would put money on
I feel much more confident about Ska than I did with ZKK.
We should get a poll going.
Yeah.
With the One Piece community.
I'm totally down. Yeah.
Everyone put in like who's gonna take it.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'm
crazy.
down. Yeah.
I'm down.
I'm down to do a Ska poll.
$100. Just
Let's
kidding.
do it.
I don't have $100. Megan, hit Roger with another question.
Sure.
Boom, let's go.
Okay.
What you got for me, Megan?
You said before that people either love you or hate you. Why do you think that is?
I am very polarizing is why that is. That's not even a question. That's like, it's just a statement of fact. People I think either really like me or just really don't like me. And I think.
But what is it about you? I mean, I find you to be a charming individual.
Reagan, what is it about me?
I don't like you.
Oh.
Got a great smile, great head of
That's
hair.
very nice.
I mean,
Thank
what's
you.
not to like?
I think I am very opinionated and I don't hide my opinions. And I think, what's the right way to word this? I feel like a lot of the time people got to play it safe nowadays. I think you have to play it safe. If you don't like something, you have to go, well, but maybe it'll be better or maybe this thing. And it's not me. As much as I try to be that person, it's not me. And I think if I was to try to be that person, it wouldn't be true to myself. And if I wasn't true to myself, people wouldn't watch me, right? And so I also think on top of it, like it's the over the top thing, right? I just genuinely get excited about a lot of stuff, whether it's like Smash Brothers or One Piece or something. Like I get genuinely hyped. Like I would be going, oh my God, to myself in my house anyway, right? I just have a camera on me. And so obviously you'll ham it up a little bit for the camera, but at the end of the day, the excitement is there, right? Like the base is there, the core is there, your passion for that thing is there. And so with passion comes, hot and cold, right? It's like love in real life, right? You're either super hot or super cold. And I think I am very much that kind of person where either people are hot on my content because I'm energized and excited and they agree with me, or people really hate me because they disagree with me and vehemently disagree with me about whatever I think.
Well, I think you said it perfectly. I can relate to this myself. I've felt that I have even at times padded certain things because I already anticipate there being this barrage of like, hey, not even fully understanding like what I am saying, which is just that like me personally, Oda's still great. The story is still great. But maybe this one thing is questionable to me. Not that like this is like a huge, gigantic thing that I'm hung up on, but like a lot of that was happening during like the Bonnie stuff, right? Like where Bonnie was being drawn a certain way and then it was revealed that she was a kid.
Bro, I hated that too. Let's be real. All right? Like I talked about that. I hated that too. And I also hated that because of what Sanji was doing earlier in the arc. Because then it's like, what you're doing, Oda. Why are you doing? Like he already knew that was going to be the case with Bonnie. So why are you doing this? Yeah.
But it's crazy because even in something that like is very like cut and dry for me personally, in my own like moral compass, I still found myself going like, well, but I understand,
it's
like
a different culture.
Yeah. And so I get that.
Yeah, to your point too about like being excited. I don't know what it is about the internet or maybe a specific group of people that see that and go, oh, you like something and are happy? That's cringe.
Totally.
You're being cringe. Like that word is just so overused. And it's like, how is, I'm just being a happy person. That's cringe, I guess.
But I think a lot of that comes from other people's own insecurities, right? Like there was a tweet that I made years ago that also got me in a lot of trouble with Reddit and people were angry. But Liam went on some tirade about like, thumbnails, right? And talking about like thumbnails and spoiler talk. This was a couple years ago, Okay. And I basically said underneath it in regards to, because his tweet was about something that I was not referring to, but I was responding to how he was responding to people just like actively also hating him. And I was like, look, a lot of the people that are just there on Reddit, you have to think of them like dads who've worked a 9 to 5 all week and are going to go see a football game at a sports bar, right? They're going to watch that team. They're going to see the opposing team. They're going to talk trash the whole time. This guy sucks. Oh, I hate him. He's the worst. He's the worst person on the planet. Hope he dies, whatever, all this stuff. Then that same football player walks into the sports bar. All of them are like, can I have your autograph? You're awesome. Man." And I think that's kind of how you have to perceive these things, right? Is that like a lot of people are just angry because you're happy, right? And that's not to say that somehow absolves you from any criticism. If I do something wrong, I'm very happy to be like, all right, look, I worded that a little too harshly. I shouldn't have said that. Or if Oda changes something in the story that I didn't like, I'm like, oh, that was great. So he was actually going somewhere with this. That's awesome. I am the first one to be transparent, like, and change my mind. I did the whole Greatest L stream where I dressed up like Bon Clay because Yamato didn't join the story. Right. Like, I'm happy to do it. But I think there is a little bit of the actual like gray area discussion that's been lost in recent years across YouTube, where you either have to love everything or hate everything. Mm-hmm. And so I think that goes in line with why people either love or hate me too.
Yeah, especially with One Piece, I think, for sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I've never had a problem with Attack on Titan fans. They've been very kind to me. Over the course of Hunter fans, very nice to me.
Interesting.
See, I always find this fascinating because like a lot of people feel the same way. They're like, Attack on Titan fans are the worst. They've been so horrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, like what are your experiences?
We've
like
had
with
the
that?
reverse experience with Attack on Titan fans.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
I mean,
well, go ahead, Megan.
oh
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
just
cut
uploaded reactions to, what was it? I mean,
it was a reaction to a
gosh.
couple episodes. I forgot what season it was at the time, but we were just being ourselves, goofy,
Of course.
silly.
Of course.
That's what we like to do. We recognize that YouTube is big enough and has room for everybody.
Of course.
What we bring is hopefully a little bit of silliness that can maybe make people laugh.
Yeah.
And we're analytical from time to time too.
Shoot.
Don't hold us to
Don't
it.
do this.
Don't
Yeah.
hold us to it. But we felt like that silliness, the Attack on Titan fans didn't want anybody to be silly about Attack on Titan.
For sure.
Maybe One Piece, maybe Hunter x Hunter even, but not Attack on Titan.
See, I think maybe the reason why I never had that issue was because I was kind of silly from the get-go when I started, because a lot of people don't know this. I was doing Attack on Titan content before One Piece content. A lot of that stuff is gone because I was using panels and I didn't know copyright. And so a lot of those videos are like lost to time. But I mean, I was reading Attack on Titan monthly, like, and regularly talking to people about it, talking to Shofu, talking to Ricky, talking to people that I still regularly do videos with, like dating back to when I was in college. And so one of the first things that I was like, once a month, I'm excited to see this Attack on Titan chapter. I would go live and I would do my reaction and upload my video and I'd talk about it. But there was always like a goofy undertone to it because, again, I'm a One Piece fan. So it's like I see funny things and things, even if they're serious. Whereas I feel like, especially in modern, like the last 3-4 years, if people are getting into Attack on Titan, I do feel like it's a lot more vitriolic because the fans are like, no, this is a really serious thing. Like, you can't be joking about this.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's an anime, bro.
Yeah.
It's an anime. Like, it's a cartoon. These people don't exist. Aaron's not actually creating a genocide and murdering all these people. Like, it's not a real thing.
Because because the story, not that it wasn't always serious, but it definitely took a turn.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have Sasha eating a potato and it was like a meme for so many years and there was comedy there. And I think after like Gabby and all these other characters introduced, that's when it got darker. The themes got darker. So I think us copping into that then was not, because we already, because the internet doesn't understand, like, we've watched it all. This is just what we're putting on the internet.
Right, of
now.
course. Of
So
course.
we were there when it was live.
Yeah, right.
So we know the story. We've watched it. But it just, to them, it was like, oh, you guys don't understand the themes. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, even if I watch something dark with dark themes, I don't know. I still, at least if I'm watching something at the screen, I'll make fun of like a character for doing something or for saying, like, I would make fun of, who was it all the time? Like, Reiner or Zeke, like,
oh my god, but Reiner, you can make fun of him all day, every day. Reiner's like, he's like, a punching bag, bro. Yeah,
I mean, and I don't know. I just felt like people didn't want to hear that.
Yeah,
I feel that. I definitely feel that. Yeah, I think I got really lucky with that audience, just based on what everyone else has been saying in terms of like their interactions with the Attack on Titan community. But it's funny because, like, for me, I definitely feel like I've gotten the worst of it from shonen fans, without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's One Piece, My Hero, whatever. And like I said, sometimes like I ask for it because I'll put something out there and then like I know it's gonna stir up something. But I don't know. I feel like because my audience is older, like my primary audience on YouTube is like 25 to 34. Which a lot of anime channels, that is not the case. It's like 18 or younger.
Yeah.
I think because of that, the shonen stuff, as I got older, doesn't really resonate with me the same way a lot of the seinen stuff does. And even though AOT is like a shonen, obviously, Hunter x Hunter's a shonen, I do think like the darkness of those series and the depth to those characters is something I'm gravitating more towards. Not to say like One Piece, this is going to get me canceled. Someone clip this out. He says One Piece doesn't have deep characters. Not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm saying that like I think a lot of shonen follow a very specific formula nowadays. And a lot of them are copycats of other series. Whereas like One Piece is an OG. So One Piece, you can sort of like, you can look past a lot of things because they were of the time and have continued onwards. And also, I feel like Oda's grown with the story too. I feel like the story is just as good now as it was when we were reading it. It's just different things I find not as good as things when I was reading it as a kid. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that AOT video, by the way, was the only video that we've ever taken down.
Wow.
Oh,
it
yeah.
got that bad.
It was pretty bad. I mean, we should have left it up just because.
We should have.
Yeah.
We're
Because
dumb.
this was when we were
We're
like
so
very early.
dumb.
We had been doing like YouTube for maybe like a year and a half.
A
at that
year
point.
and a half.
Maybe even a year. And we had never had the dislike ratio like completely smash the like ratio. And so I didn't know at the time how to handle it. So I was just like, I didn't even unlist it. I deleted it.
Oh,
I
man.
know.
It's like a
That is
sin,
bad. I don't
but-
think I've ever had one that's been like 80-20 negative 80. I don't think it's ever even in like the worst of it. Even like during the stream a couple weeks ago with like the timer thing, or even during the Yamato one. I think like the max that's ever been is like 40-60 maybe. But I mean, it was 60 dislike. I should clarify.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, too, it doesn't really matter. Engagement's engagement.
Exactly.
And
That's why we're so dumb.
Well, yeah,
like,
but
we could have just kept it
You wouldn't
up.
have known that because I feel like if, like, even with this recent situation with me, I feel like I've been here a couple times already. Like I had my Twitter hacked before because I'd made a statement where I was like, could people please not leak the chapter that's going to be coming out over New Year's? Like just wait a week for it to come out. Like I know people are talking about it, but I don't want to like leave social media for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Literally, I got my Twitter hacked while I was in Chicago.
Wow.
And then obviously my YouTube channel hacking had nothing to do with anime fans. But like there's been a lot of stuff similar to that with death threats and hacks and things that have happened. People sending things to my email trying to spoil me on things. Like there was a dude who sent me, and I talked about this on the live stream in which it happened, who sent me Zoro having Conquerors hockey to my email as a business email, like a fake business email, sent it from a Smurf account, like said, hi, I'm from so-and-so. We're interested in having like a collaboration with you for this type of video. Here's our rates. What do you think of this? And then me responding back and then them being like, okay, well, yeah, this. And also, by the way, Zoro is Conquerors hockey. Screw you for following the official release by. And I'm like, and that's happened.
I mean, I've gotten a DM, and that was the only one I've ever gotten.
But
with
it was
just
a
spoiling.
spoiler.
Yeah, when
And
we
it
were
was
reading
someone
One
going out of
Piece for
their
the first
way
time.
to
And I was like,
spoil
oh,
you.
wow, that
But
was
that's
crazy.
another level.
That's another level of dedication.
I think
That's a
that
mega
also, though,
mindset.
comes with, and I think this is another reason why I think I'm very polarizing, is people who know me for a long time know, of course I used to cover the scans when I first started, like naturally. But Jump didn't exist in the same capacity digitally it does now. Now, like Viz, like $1.99 or whatever, you could just like read all the chapters. Yeah. And so it's fine. I don't care waiting a couple days to read it. But I took a very hardline stance when like not a lot of people did, where I'm like, I'm going to read the official because transparently, and I've said this before, like I like working with brands.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a fun aspect
Why
of
is
YouTube
that a
to me.
bad thing,
Right,
though?
but people see that as like, oh, you're a sellout. But it's like, no. I just want to be able to work with Shueisha. I want to be able to go to the
Exactly.
set of One Piece live action. I want to be able to like do the WT 100 events. And if you follow the scans, you will not be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's just like plain and simple. That's how it is. And obviously, for some people, that doesn't matter. For some people, they don't care as much about the brand deal side of it or aren't looking at the business side. They're just doing it to have fun. More power to them. Read the scans, whatever, do what you want to do. But I took a very hardline stance where I was like, I'm going to do this. And it made a lot of people upset, especially longtime viewers of mine who were like, you're such a hypocrite because you used to read the scans. It was like, no. I'm just changing my mind. I'm not saying you're a horrible person. You could do your own thing, but like, this is what I'm going to do.
And it's just funny, like, you could just be like, if you're just talking with your homie and it's like, hey, I'm gonna read the official now and not really read the scans anymore. They go, oh, okay, for sure.
Whatever, right? Because you're not putting it online.
Yeah.
You're just
But
having a conversation.
the minute
it's like,
you
oh,
do.
Yeah. It's like, oh, don't spoil me because I didn't read that one yet. I read the official on Sunday. That's it. That's all it is. But when you're making content, because the game for a lot of people in the algorithm, which is like why I'm very happy, I'm kind of removed from this aspect of it, right? Is who's the first one to upload? Who's the first person to get this thing out there? Who's the thing? Who's going to make the most clickbait thumbnail to use whatever the big thing about this chapter was? And that's going to piss a lot of people off who are anime only. Because I think like people always talk about scans versus official release for manga, but like the whole other side of it is people who are a year behind, who are anime only, who are diehard anime fans, who are getting spoiled on our thumbnails, right? Who
Which is, bro, it's such a dance that
is.
I did not anticipate. Like, existing when we first like got into this niche. We just loved anime, loved manga, wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was only after we got into it that we realized like, oh my God, this might be one of the most complicated
It is.
Of niches to navigate because there's 3 to 4 different ways to consume the same story.
And make the content. Like I'm always blown away genuinely by how you guys do reactions because I'm like, where you'll have the video in the middle and everything.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, you could clearly see what's going on there. I'm like,
Yeah,
how are
yeah.
you not copyright blocked on some of these? Meanwhile, I'll upload a video and it's like a clip of something very briefly and it's like, oh, you're gone.
You want to know
Get
the
out of
secret?
here.
Well, you don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to know the secret?
Let's hear the secret.
The
Let's
secret
go.
is sometimes there's 12 versions of that video.
There we go. There we go.
And I have stayed up till 3 a.m, continuing
Re-uploading
to
it.
cut whatever
Smart.
gets flagged. Cut.
20 versions.
See,
of the
I
same
don't have
video.
time for that anymore.
I
Now
mean,
it's like
yeah,
between,
no.
especially because it's not just anime stuff; it's like video game stuff too.
Yes.
Where it's like I literally don't have time to upload 8 different versions, so I'm just like, look, I'll do it on Twitch. I'll stream the whole thing.
and that's
there'll be a filter. There won't be audio, and we'll have a timer to sync up, and it is what it is.
and
you
that's
know?
probably way smarter. And we've even like as we've done it longer.
But I'm jealous
not-
of you guys. I really am. It's like, oh God, I wish I could do that. I really do. I'm like,
I mean, it's just not. Sometimes it's worth it.
Yeah,
but
for
sometimes
sure.
It's not worth
yeah.
it.
Sometimes, no, I'm sure if you have 8 or 9 different iterations of that
Yeah,
one video and
yeah.
you're uploading it, it would not be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking to Liam about it a little bit because we had Liam. He was the only remote guest.
Oh,
that we
funny.
had, on
Okay.
the
No, we
show.
flew
Yeah.
him in.
Yeah, we
Oh,
flew
right.
him in.
That's right. That's right. From Australia. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But we were talking to him about the same thing
Yeah.
because you mentioned just like thumbnails and things like that. Like,
Yeah.
man, dude, I just again didn't anticipate having to. I don't want to spoil anybody on anything.
Yeah.
But now, like, we also at the same time want people to feel like if they're anime only, they can feel safe on
Right.
our channel. If
Right.
they're caught up on the manga, that they have something on our channel. But like, how do you do that while competing
It's a balancing
with
act.
other thumbnails and
Yeah.
other titles and
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, obviously, reading it for the first time and just putting out thumbnails of things or characters we're cosplaying because everyone
Yeah,
knows them. And it was like,
course.
oh, this is easy. And then no one told us that we'd be thrown into like the lion's den once we became weekly readers.
Yeah.
No one was there to be like, just because everyone, in the chat's like, can't wait for you guys to be weekly readers. And we're like,
Sure.
cool. And it's like, if you talk to a content creator, they're like, oh, just wait.
Yeah, dude.
Biggest mistake. Yeah, right.
We've just learned. Like, I remember one of the first chapters, or not one of the first, but like a chapter once we became weekly involved something with Zoro. And so I didn't even put a picture of Zoro in the thumbnail from that chapter. It was just a general stock image of like Wano Zoro, but
Sure.
it was Egghead. And
Yeah.
I mean, people were just like, I really wish I would have gotten to like find out that Zoro had a moment in this chapter, like
Right.
on my own. And it's like, bro, like, I don't know, man.
It's tough, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's the big thing for me, like in recent years, and since we're in the adulting section, right?
Yeah.
Right. What are you
Yeah.
doing currently? I feel like the big thing for me in recent years is I really have made a concerted effort to move away from as much anime and manga content. Not to say I don't love it still, of course I do. But I feel like One Piece to me is my bread and butter, right? I've read the manga. I'm sticking with it to the ending. I love it, obviously. If there's a new anime or a live action, whatever, of course I'm going to cover it. But in terms of like getting into new ones, I'm good. In terms of like making content, I'm good. I think like I find a lot more enjoyment out of doing video game related stuff. People are like more engaging on the video game streams and stuff too. And it's just like, I don't have to worry as much about it in terms of copyright stuff because like the game companies aren't copyright blocking you for playing their game. Whereas like the anime companies will for watching their show, and you don't know what show it's going to be. And you don't know, like with Solo Leveling, perfect example, right? Solo Leveling, I read when it was a free to read manhwa online, like a web comic. So I did all those live streams with the panels in the background thinking this is awesome. It's just a website. Anyone could go to it and read it. Come to find out, a year and a half later, when it got picked up by Cacao Page for its publishing rights and licensing rights, all my old Solo Leveling videos got copyright claimed and stricken and blocked to the point where my YouTube channel almost got deleted. Where then I had to remove a lot of them, send appeals, go through this whole process. And then when I came back, I had the filter up on screen. But then, like you guys said, that opens up a whole can of worms because people were like, but you were reading it with the other panels before and this YouTuber's doing it without it. And like, why can't you do it? You're just lying. And it's like, no, man, like I got hit with these strikes. I can't risk my channel. And now like with Solo Leveling with the anime coming out, right? Like a lot of people have been saying, why aren't as many people talking about Solo Leveling? It doesn't do the same numbers. And it's like, because the publisher in Korea took out all of us who did those initial reactions that brought in so many people.
Yep.
And it wasn't like, I'm not saying this like, oh, I was a big Solo Leveling YouTube. I'm like, there were like 20 of us that were doing it consistently and bringing in a bunch of views. And now a lot of those videos don't exist anymore, or they've been re-uploaded with massive filters on them, or they just haven't been found yet, and they will eventually get stricken.
Yeah.
So it's just like a bad position to be in. Yeah.
I just feel like there's a lot of things, like you were even saying about number wise and everything, a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand. Like I'm sure even bouncing back and forth between Nintendo to One Piece can cause these like fluctuations
of course.
in your views that can be frustrating as a person who's trying to run a business, who's a
course.
fan of these things, but is also trying to support themselves.
I think it's a balancing act, right? I think like that's the one thing I am so grateful about when it comes to my channel is that like for the most part, if something pops off in anime or something pops off in gaming, it's going to do well across both. Like it doesn't really matter one way or the other. And general videos, if I'm doing like a news video or something, might not necessarily hit the same way. But like if there's a big reaction to a game or a big reaction to a show that I'm like really interested in, it's going to do well regardless. Because I think and I think you guys are good at this too, right? Is cultivating an audience that's there for you and your opinions versus cultivating an audience that's there for a specific type of content, right? Like if you only do One Piece videos and that's the only thing that you do, and you're only known for doing One Piece videos, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, I'm not having fun doing this anymore. I'm gonna do a Nintendo video. And then all your other stuff bombs and people are like, why aren't you doing this anymore? You just shot yourself in the foot, right? Whereas if you diversify early, which I was thankfully like able to do very early on, I was doing Nintendo stuff and anime stuff. If you diversify early enough, people will start coming for you.
Right.
And the downside to that, of course, going back to what you were saying, Megan, is people are there for you, which means you're either they're going to agree with you or they're not going to agree with you. And some people might hate watch you and some people might watch you because they love you. But it's like coming to terms with that and evolving your content in that way.
100%.
I will give ourselves that. I'm proud of us for doing that. I think you've done the same thing. Like people come for Roger, and I like to think that people come for us.
They are for sure here for you. Yeah, because you're not just cranking out like one video on one series. You're doing multiple other series. You're doing podcasts. You're doing, videos where you're just interviewing people. It's like there's a diversification to your content that I think is so important for any YouTuber because you will burn out if you're not passionate about
That's
what
all
it
it
is you're
comes
making
down
videos
to, right? Like if we were making the same video over and over, we would be so done.
Right.
Not to say that like we don't like that thing. It's just that anything in excess can be too much.
Yeah.
Can burn you out.
100%.
And I think the downside and the upside to it, right, is that if you are in a niche and only doing one thing, it's a lot easier to grow, right? People will be a lot more likely to be like, I'll subscribe because all the stuff you're doing, I'm interested in. Whereas when you're variety, that's not necessarily the case. But the good thing that comes from variety that like no one ever talks about is that, say, for example, like Honkai Star Rail or like Genshin Impact, right? These are games, like I started playing Genshin Impact because of a brand deal that Reagan got me. Literally, I did one video. I'm like, I've wanted to play this game, but I've never played it before. I got into it. I loved it. The video did incredibly well. I did a follow-up video. That video also did incredibly well. And I'm like, whoa, I'm getting a whole new audience. And guess what? So many of those Genshin people that started following me were like, oh my God, you like One Piece?
That's crazy.
And then folded into the other content. Or, oh my God, you love Smash Brothers too? Folded into that content. Yeah. And so I think people don't think about the people who are also into the other things that you are into that will follow you from the new thing. Right. And again, the more diverse your audience is, the better. Because then if somebody is watching my Genshin content and my One Piece content, they're tuning in for a good majority of what I'm putting out there,
Yeah.
So,
This kind of like segues, I think, into a question pretty well. And that question is, you can only choose one.
Ooh.
What do you choose? Anime or video games?
Video games.
Whoa.
Yeah, frame one.
That was so
100%
fast.
Video games. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If I could only choose one, video games without a shadow of a doubt.
Well,
that's like,
I mean, video games, it's much more interactive.
Yes.
I mean, you're doing a thing and you're succeeding and feeling winning. It's like media, you're like, oh, I feel fulfilled watching this thing. But I mean, they're totally different.
I know they're totally different, but I'm just not as big of a gamer.
Yes. Whereas, I am.
Yeah.
I will like off stream, I will play all the stuff that I play. And like, I love playing old retro games. And I grew up with like N64 and all this other stuff. And so I love that era. Whereas like anime for me, if I love an anime, I love an anime.
Yeah.
But I don't usually like go out of my way to watch everything that season, right? Like a lot of people will say, oh, are you watching the spring season? Like, what are you watching? And they'll say, oh, we're watching this, and this. And then I hear like the descriptor of it and I'm like, I'm good. I think I'm just gonna maybe try this one because it sounds appealing. So like this past season I was watching Frieren And it's awesome. It's awesome. It's like
it's
beautiful
the best.
animation, fantastic music, really good characters, just really great.
I'll say it's one of the best anime I've seen in a long time.
I will agree. I think it's one of the best in the past 10 years. I think it's
I will
really
say-
good.
I will agree.
Reagan,
Yeah.
Free Ring
Free Ring,
cosplay.
exactly.
Free Rin.
I also really loved Spy Family. I think Spy
Yeah.
Family is a really, really good one. It's slice of life, very different from other stuff that we're into. The other like typical shonen related type stuff. And I feel like that's what I have to find in terms of anime. I have to find an anime that clicks with me. Also, if I heard you correctly, and my mind isn't playing tricks on me, you did say anime or video games. I said Frame One video games. You did not say manga, which means I'd still be free to read
Oh, okay.
the One Piece manga.
They're a package
So
deal.
I can still read
They're
my
a
One Piece
package
manga. I can
deal.
read
You
it
should
at that
have
time.
said any
I just
manga.
feel-
Anime, you might have, and I just misheard.
No, you didn't.
Found
No,
you
he
found the
didn't.
loophole, but I didn't
loophole.
anticipate that.
I have a very important question.
Let's hear it.
Fuck, marry, kill, Jinbei, Frankie, Usopp.
Jinbei, Frankie, Usopp, bro. Oh, Jinbei, Frankie, Usopp. You're really doing this to me. You're not doing Nami, Robin, and
No.
Vivi.
That would be
All right, it'd be
easy.
easy, of
Easy.
course. It wouldn't be easy though, to be fair, too, with that one. All right, FMK, Usopp, Frankie, and Jinbei. You gotta kill Jinbei, bro. He's a fish.
God.
He's a fish. He's a fish. What are you doing with the fish? You can't. Hey,
okay.
Are we?
Hey,
how are we?
hey.
How are we equating this? Are we like as romantic partners or as
So,
characters?
Yeah. No. Okay. FMK. Marriage comes with romance.
Marriage does come with romance.
I
I'd be
have.
Frankie
I
for
would
sure.
hope.
I would say Frankie. Here's why. Frankie, first off, human, right? Cyborg, cyborg, but also human. Probably good. Two, it would be a handyman, right?
Yes.
Very helpful around the house. You're marrying Frankie, right? You never
That's
have
a
to.
good point.
If I need someone to build a desk for me, build a chair, build whatever, Frankie's got it covered.
Easy.
He could build a house. He could build a ship. We don't even
Yeah.
need to buy, all we need to do is buy the land, right? And he could literally build the house. Like,
Yeah, that's
And
true.
he's
Frankie.
fun, and he's goofy,
and he's fun,
and he's got
and goofy.
yeah.
I would say, I'm going to rescind what I said about Jinbei.
Okay.
I'm going to rescind what I said about Jinbei. Jinbei, I feel like, would take you on a really good seafood date.
He really would.
I feel like he'd treat you right,
He
really
would.
but I couldn't marry Jinbei.
Okay.
Couldn't do that, you know. You couldn't marry Jinbei. He's an old man. He's an
How
old
old is
man.
he?
He's old.
Is he like in his 40s?
I don't know his exact age,
He's too old. He's too old.
but
Jinbei's too old.
it's Roger's answer. I respect it.
And then I would have to kill Usopp.
Yeah.
Because
that was the right- that was
but I
so
love
hard.
Usopp.
I love him too, but
But you couldn't trust what he's saying.
No, he's a cheater.
And also
I'm just
he
kidding.
he's bumbling around all the time. Doesn't know what he's doing. I don't think
Yeah.
he's screaming.
He's
Yeah.
loud,
Yeah,
in the house.
loud.
What that nose do? I don't know.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
that
an
does do.
important point.
That's
though.
why some people would have picked.
Yeah.
not
Usopp,
Usopp,
Usopp.
FMK.
Sorry,
no,
buddy.
that was definitely the right answer.
Yeah.
That was
I
definitely
agree
the
with
right
that answer. I support it. I second
Nice.
it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frankie's for sure the Mary though, without a shadow. of a doubt.
100%,
Oh,
dude.
Of those
course.
three,
Because Frobin
yes.
is real.
Here's the thing. Okay.
No,
Wanna hear my-
okay,
can
okay,
we get
okay.
into
Oh,
this?
God.
I
We
kind of
could
love
get-
this.
we could
I
get
kind of
into
love this. Let's do this. Let's get into this. All right. Here's my thing. Frobin is great. I am not a shipper by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a Clarith fan. I like Cloud and Aerith.
Okay.
I don't feel very strongly about a lot of other ships in other media.
Okay.
One Piece, I feel strongly about two, specifically two. Okay. First one, is-
Frobin, and what's the second one?
so three actually.
Okay.
I like Frobin. Frobin's great.
Okay.
I love Robin Law. I love Robin Law. I love. I know a lot of people don't.
But why?
The mystery, their childhood trauma bonding. I think there's a lot of stuff that they've been through. Robin also being Robin's obviously older than Law, but I feel like Law also acts older than he actually is,
Yeah.
and he's usually someone you can rely on. And I feel like is tangentially related to the Straw Hats in a way in which it's not like you're with somebody on the crew. I don't really ship anybody on the crew with each other. And I don't think I ever will because they're like a family. They're nakama, right? You're not gonna. I don't. Like you can-
I totally understand. I totally understand because people. The first thing they say, well, Otis, that they would never. Anyone would be on the ship together. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I totally get it. The Law Robin. Just show me one. Just show me any chemistry.
just Rose.
What
are you talking about?
Between them, I get an aunt being nice to
her nephew.
No, not her
I'm like,
nephew.
where are we going with
Not her
I mean,
nephew.
like, what kind of
older
aunt you
woman,
talking
or like
about?
a teacher. Be like, I don't
Oh,
know.
a teacher student.
Yeah. I mean, Frankie. Okay, the thing about trauma bonding, Frankie and Robin got that.
Oh, they do for sure.
Water 7.
Yeah, for sure.
All of that. That's what really sold it for me. And then the cover pages with them constantly being like
They're always
together.
together.
They're grouped.
Well, I mean, they're the mom and dad of the crew, regardless. And Jinbei's the grandpa now, kind of with Brooke. You know?
And then people
Yeah.
ship Jinbei and
Jinbei-
Robin.
See, Jinbei's like an uncle, though.
He's a
Jinbei's
real.
like the uncle. Brooke is the old pervy grandpa for
He
sure.
is.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
That's why we call Jinbei Theo Jinbei,
Theo
because he is
Jinbei.
an uncle.
Jinbei's so funny.
But I understand.
Yeah.
Everyone's entitled.
But I like, to be fair, I am not against Robin. I actually do really like that. If Oda by the end of the series was like, if we're gonna have anybody get together from the crew, I think the one I would be most okay with is Frankie Robin.
Yeah.
Here are my two big ones, all right, that people disagree with me. One, I like Luffy, Vivi. I like Luffy, Vivi. And the sole reason why I like this, let me explain, is because thematically within the story, it is the only one that makes sense. It is the only one where Vivi has been shown on panel saying, I'm going to go my own way and choose my own husband. There has only been Pirate Queen merchandise of one tangentially related Straw Hat character that's ever existed. Literally called Pirate Queen merchandise. There's a Pirate Queen version of this character. Pirate Queen Vivi is a thing. There is a statue of Pirate Queen Vivi. There is a unit in Treasure Cruise of Pirate Queen Vivi. And on top of that too, Vivi, if she does end up joining the Straw Hats towards the end of the series, would be apart from them long enough where I would be okay with that.
Okay.
Here's why I don't like Luffy Boa, right?
Luffy Boa.
Let me explain why.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like Luffy Boa for sure.
No.
Luffy Boa is very one-sided. Luffy does not care about Boa.
No.
Luffy, I could see Oda ending the story and being like, yeah, whatever, he ended up with Boa, had a kid or whatever, and that's fine. And I could see it being like a throwaway thing like that, right? But Boa, her whole gag, right, is loving Luffy and that not being reciprocated.
Yes.
And Luffy just being like, well, I love meat,
Yes.
you know? And I could see a world in which Vivi could convince Luffy like, no, but we have to get married to like rule, you know, because now
Right.
you're the pirate king and in solidarity, I'm like the good world government and we can create a new world where everybody's free and can party. You know, like I could see a world in which she could sell that to Luffy. I don't see a world in which Boa is selling.
Right.
Unless Boa's like, I have an island made of meat that is now going to be yours. And then he's like, one and done, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's go.
But the reason why I don't like Luffy Boa is because of the only thing I feel so strongly about in this story, the only ship I feel so strongly about, and that is when they have not met yet. And I think this is important.
Okay.
When these two characters eventually meet in Final War, and that is Boa Hancock and Bartolomeo. And here is why.
Very interesting.
Bartolomeo and Boa Hancock both have unrequited love for Luffy.
Yes.
Are obsessed
I
with
see the
Luffy.
connection.
Can never have Luffy, will never be with Luffy, will never actually be Straw Hats, right? Boa will be an allied pirate crew. The Kuja pirates can ally with the Straw Hats. Bardo's in the Grand Fleet, but neither of them, they're far enough away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they both love Luffy. And I could absolutely see a situation like, do you guys play Fire Emblem at all?
No.
So Fire Emblem Awakening, there's a character named Cordelia who is obsessed with Chrom. She's in love with Chrom, but can never be with Chrom.
Okay.
And the best interactions that you get with her in the story are when you match her with characters who could also never be with Chrom. And the two of them almost bond over the fact that, like, oh no, I found something better. Like I thought this was the thing I always wanted, but in reality, this is what I want. I also really love that because you think about Boa's devil fruit, right? You think about Boa's devil fruit always turns everybody to stone. I love that Bartolomeo would be unaffected no matter how much he loves Boa because of the barrier.
Right.
So there would always be the barrier who wouldn't have to turn to stone. So even
You
if
sold
he
me,
sees
you
Boa,
sold me. I
so
like it.
I love it too.
I really love the two of them together.
I also
a lot.
love
Yeah.
Sabo and Koala.
Yeah.
I also love Sabo and
Yeah.
Koala. That's like,
yeah.
but that doesn't even really, that's like an unfair ship. That's like it's written in the story.
Well, that's how I feel about
Yeah.
Robin.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see that for sure.
I was like, that's written to me. There's like a whole
There's definitely a
Tumblr
list. Yeah.
archive of just facts to Robin, and
Oh, yeah.
I am obsessed. I
I'm
send
fine
it
with
to
that,
anyone.
yeah.
I'm like, here you go.
The only thing is, like, I agree. Like, for me, Luffy is for the most part like pretty asexual.
Yeah.
It's hard to see him with anybody.
With anybody, right.
But and her cousin, who we've had on the podcast before, is not even a shipper, but has in recent like chapters started to believe that there is a world where him and Nami will end up together because
Yeah.
he says that everybody else has their dream, right? So when they do what they need to do,
Right.
they all have things that they can attend to or achieve.
Right.
But Luffy can't get anywhere without a navigator. Like, he's still
Yeah.
gonna need Nami.
Well, I don't think the crew would ever split up. You know, your favorite bands don't split up when the members
true.
get married. Well, okay,
Some of them
some of them do. Some of them do. Some of them do. I take that back.
What's so passionate about
Yeah,
it?
right.
Ah!
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I do feel like, I don't know, the dynamic between them is very much like found family.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
And I-
100%.
It feels very weird. Not again, I'm not like attacking somebody who likes Luffy Nami. Like, I don't know if you guys get the same commenter. There's one commenter on literally every One Piece video I will ever upload. Same person comments on Cole's, same person comments on Brago's, same person comments on Jay's. We've all talked about it. There's one person, shout out to you, whoever you are. You know who you are.
He's probably gonna come on this video.
Yeah, he probably is, yeah.
Who comments on every One Piece video of mine, Luffy X Nami, at the end, GGWP. Good game, well played. Every single video.
Maybe.
You probably have. I bet if you just look up GGWP,
Yeah, we're gonna search it, yeah.
search it in your comments, I
Wow.
bet you that person has commented on your videos. And so, like, I'm totally fine with Luffy Nami. It's like, if it happened, I wouldn't be like,
Yeah.
oh my God. But I just feel like there's so many other better options.
Yeah, I
and
don't
I'm
think
right
it's
there
gonna
with you with Luffy. I feel
Right.
like Luffy is mostly asexual. He
Yeah.
just doesn't care. He likes meat. He's meat sexual, to be
Meat
fair. He
sexual,
wants meat.
yeah.
He wants to eat meat, devour that meat. That's what Luffy is.
Yeah.
And so I feel like whoever's going to give him the most meat at the end of the day, and I feel like if Vivi's in charge of a country, you know.
That's
could be-
true.
yeah. That could be
That's
taken
true.
many ways, what you said, but I got
It was intended, believe me. The entendre was intended. Yes.
But yeah, there was other evidence. I don't mean it to sound like Nolan didn't have like plenty of evidence for why this could happen.
No, but it's just incestual.
It does feel weird.
feel-
Right. That's
feels
exactly how it feels to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I am curious, who would you like to see Zoro and Sanji end up with? Because for me, a lot of people, I've grown to like it more. I am not a fan of Sanji pudding.
That's what I was gonna
I
say.
don't like that. And a lot of people are like, no, it makes perfect sense. Like with whole cake and everything. I kind of like Sanji Viola, bro. I kind of like Viola.
Yeah, I kind of do too, actually.
His first
Okay.
kiss in the series, right? Like, genuine, is still part of a world government country, right? Still involved with
Yeah.
Dressrosa, is technically still a prince, right? Like, there's a lot of things that I like with the two of them. The pudding 16 thing is just too weird to me.
No,
Yeah,
it definitely is. I would say like because there's time between the two.
For sure,
and
there can be a time jump.
Time passes.
For sure.
And I think for her liking Sanji makes sense because of everything that was happening in her
course.
life then. She kind of was like, oh, this person's going to save me, which
Yeah.
is like really depressing.
Yeah,
But for Sanji versus, there's no, for him to like her, no. I mean, I
And
just don't
but to
think
be
so.
fair, Sanji totally does. Like,
Yeah.
he
No,
loves
he
everybody.
does.
Right. So I think if that does happen, I'm right there with you that I feel like I would like it to happen in a time skip at the end of the story, like an epilogue type thing, if
Right.
that is going to be a thing. Whereas like Zoro Hiyori just makes sense. Like if you're going to do it, like if it's going to be with anybody and Kuina's actually dead and it's not Tashigi, like
Which
Yeah.
is what I was
To
gonna
me,
say.
right.
Like I miss the like tension that I used to feel between like Zoro and Tashigi. Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because of like Tashigi looking like
of course,
Kuina, you know what I mean?
of course.
And her just thinking he's an ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But,
that's
like,
just fun.
There's a part of me that still always wants that to come true.
Yeah.
You know, like
I feel the same way definitely about Zoro and Tashigi. I think this is the only aspect of the story where I'm like, oh, Oda's definitely reading what fans are saying. Because I feel like as Wano progressed, I think all of us assumed that it would be a big arc for Zoro, right? In terms
Yeah.
of his
Yeah.
family and ties to everything. And it's true, it did end up being one. Like he did a lot of big things during it, but his whole family thing was revealed in like an SBS.
SBS.
And like, and the majority of the time that we saw with him spending time with the characters that weren't Straw Hats was with Hiyori.
Yeah.
Right? It was like her tending to his wounds and stuff. So to me, like also her like being from a family of, famous samurai and
Yeah.
then also like living in like when I imagine like where would the Straw Hats live at the end of the story, right?
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
could
Zoro's
totally
living in
believe
Wano,
I could
yeah.
believe Sanji living on Whole Cake Island for sure. It's like you're surrounded by pastry chefs and like it makes
Yeah.
sense for him. I could totally see Zoro living in Wano. And like the only character in Wano currently that makes sense to me at least
Yeah.
would be Hiyori.
I
Oh,
agree.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree. I just do. I have that little bit of bias in me. I do. Still,
I feel that.
I love that.
That's the old One Piece fan of us, right?
Yeah.
Like we grew up with that Tashigi Zoro dynamic that then
Aw.
waned after Punk Hazard and we never really
Yeah.
saw again. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up on the 4 Kids stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I did too. I have the old Pirate Festival GameCube games with the old 4 Kids voices in it, like where they have the original Eneru. Like before, because Eneru,
That's
that was
wild.
they had dubbed Skypiea, but it was never released. Like 4Kids had canceled it before the Skypiea stuff was released, but the voice actors for Wiper, Eneru, Canis, and some of those other characters are in those GameCube One Piece fighting games. So like you could have heard those characters because they got hired before the episodes even came out.
Yeah.
It is a blast from the past.
I still think 4Kids Sanji is underrated.
4Kids Sanji, I'm not a fan. I kind of love 4Kids.
Damn it!
I love
Nobody-
4Kids Usopp though.
4Kids Usopp
Like,
was
Luffy,
great.
we gotta
Yeah.
go to this.
Yeah,
I kinda liked
that
it.
was really
That was
good.
great,
Oh my
actually,
gosh.
Yeah, that was
What
really.
was, what you mean my
Your impression, I was
4Kids Usopp?
yeah,
I was
yeah, because I
transported.
didn't even remember it until you did it. I was like, well, that's exactly how he sounds.
Oh yeah, well he literally is.
That's
Yeah, because
crazy.
I remember the old like 4th of July commercials that they did with like. Do you remember this with 4Kids TV? They would do like 4th of July or Christmas. They would
That was
They would have little insert cuts of the characters from the other TV shows interacting with one another. So it was like Sonic talking to Usopp. Somebody
it
look
sounds
this up,
familiar.
please. Look
yeah,
this
we
up.
have to look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but I can't.
But it's like Luffy
remember
going,
it.
"Oh, say can you say?" It's
Is
like
it
so
on
bad.
YouTube?
Yes, for
Okay,
sure.
maybe
Look
just-
up 4Kids TV.
Please just put it in the.
Star
read it.
Spangled
We'll look it up.
Banner.
We'll
You'll
look it
find
up.
No,
it.
no, no. You
Look it
need to
up
put it
after.
in the episode.
It's so
though.
funny.
Oh, it's gonna be in the
Yeah,
episode.
you have to put it in. 100%. You got to
We
look
can
it
show
up.
the
Yeah.
people this.
Yeah. They're gonna get an earful of that.
It's
Yeah.
so bad,
For sure.
but also so good.
For the ramparts we watched. For the land of the free.
That was my era. Right
Also, I will say, unironically, 4Kids Rap is probably top 3 best openings of all time for me in
I
terms
agree.
of One Piece.
Oh, I mean,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I people make fun of it or whatever, but like it's actually one of the best.
It
It's up there with
slaps.
We Are. It's up there with the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
great.
it's become so synonymous with One Piece, iconic. Like they go hand in hand. Like it's even if it started as a joke or a meme or whatever, like how bad it was, like it became good. It became
No, it's great. It's like Pokemon.
It is,
I
for
mean,
sure.
it's the
Yeah.
same type
sure.
of feel. They just translated and made a new song
For
to
sure.
make it like, kids, this is what this show's about. And you're like, okay,
Right.
cool.
I remember when like the OPs had to be, they were translated to English and they had to give you the whole synopsis
Yes.
of the story in the opening.
'Cause you
Who
gotta-
stops doing the marksman thing?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
Like going back to Zatch Bell, I can't remember exactly what it is, but they explain to you what the show
yeah,
is
oh,
about.
for sure. Yeah, of course.
Like, you know, someone gets a spell book and there's demons and it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
the whole show.
yeah. Oh god,
It's
I
a
love
time.
that era,
It's an
man.
era.
That era is just like iconic.
This is a question for Dark Roger.
Okay. I don't have my hood.
I know.
Oh.
I wish you did.
I know. What do you want?
First of all, welcome, Dark Roger. to
Thank
the
you
show.
for having me. Appreciate it.
Why is Attack on Titan the greatest manga of all time? And can you tell us why Aaron was right?
I just want to say Dark Roger, even Dark Roger says Aaron wasn't right. Aaron's never been
good.
right. He's never been right. Right. I think people who think Aaron was right are wrong and have been reading the wrong story.
Oh shit.
Real Roger will happily say why he thinks Attack on Titan is one of the best manga ever written, why
Okay.
he loves it.
Okay.
Happily, you don't even need Dark Roger for this. I will say this. Like I said, I read month to month, I should say. I said week to week, but like month to month as it was coming out. I saw the first season of the anime, adored it, wanted to know what happened next, got to the moment with Reiner and Bertolt, and was like, this series is something special. I have never seen a series do a reveal like that in this capacity, and then have the anime literally be as good, if not better than the manga. I feel like a lot of the time you'll get one that's very clearly better than the other, or there'll be like highs and lows. Consistently throughout the course of Attack on Titan's lifespan, it was the anime was great and the manga was great. There were a couple dips here and there, but it was because of the story and was not because of the quality of the series.
Yeah.
The music is incredible. I think the actual message that it portrays is good. I think there's a lot of people that read into Attack on Titan as like pro-war or pro-fascism or pro-gen, and you're like, that you're reading the wrong series, my friend. Like that is not what this is. The series is very clearly anti-war and is very clearly meant to show, like, spoilers for the end of Attack on Titan, but like you guys are caught up.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Right.
finished it. Yeah.
So-
Amazing ending too.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Like they
right?
stuck the land,
Right.
which is hard to do.
Exactly. And I think the point of that ending, right, where you get that little epilogue and you see like Historia is now becoming this like fascist dictator that everybody thought she was going to. You still got the Jaegerists. It's not meant to be that like this is the right way to move forward for Paradise. It's meant to show like it didn't matter what Eren did. War is cyclical. People are bad. This is going to continue to happen until we eventually come together and put an end to it. And it doesn't matter that now there's people from the Marley side and people on the Paradise side that are trying to be ambassadors. You see in that great, like that little time skip
Yeah, the
thing
time
where you
lapse
see
at the
Mikasa
end,
under
yeah.
the tree, right? Where you see, nope, paradise builds up into this massive thing, but eventually gets torn down all the same. And I think that is a really important message for the world we live in today, to be like, we need to come together. We got to stop. We got to stop with all the fighting. We got to stop with all the war. You got to forget what your ancestors did. Obviously, it's horrible, but like, we got to come together.
Yeah.
And so I love that aspect of it too. But I also think like the characters in Attack on Titan are so well done. Like even the side characters. I think Erwin, Levi, like these are characters, like Zeke even. I think like once you know truly like the history behind Zeke and the stuff with Eren, and then like the stuff in the paths with Eren and his dad, and that Eren was the one who pushed his father to do it, and Zeke being like, this is not what I wanted. What happened here?
That is like biggest WTF moments
So
of
good.
all time.
And I think the thing is, Attack on Titan does it consistently with those WTF moments, but also does it in a way where it's clear from the first freaking chapter of that series that he planned it. And I think it's one thing to do a WTF moment and blow people away with like, I never saw this coming. But if it doesn't track with the rest of the series in a way that is believable to me, I'm not going to buy it. I might go, that's an awesome moment. This is really cool. I'm glad you did this. But like, this isn't really where your series was 500 chapters ago. You know? Whereas with Attack on Titan, like that very first chapter, he's under the tree with the scarf crying. And in the first chapter, and Mikasa says, why are you crying? And it's because in that moment, he's literally seeing Mikasa holding his head, killing him. Like, is so, and like, and where he's like, your hair got longer, right? In the first, and it's like, oh, Jesus. It's so, like, I could fanboy about Attack on Titan literally all day. Like, it's just, there's stuff like that that's there from the very beginning. Little like silhouettes in scenes with Eren and Mikasa and Armin as a kid, where you're like, oh my God, this is the moment in which Zeke and Eren are watching this moment happen. Like his father opening the door and talking to Eren, looking over to the side, and then finding out like all those chapters later, oh my God, like that was actually Eren and Zeke.
But like you said, that it was planned out the entire time.
And it's planned to a T, like down to the number of the chapter, like with the final chapters with the 9 Titans and all that other stuff, like down to the numbers of the chapters, down to the reveals when they happened for certain Titans. So like the reveal of Ymir being the dancing Titan, but that actually was Marcos, right? And that was like, oh, it's so good. It's just so, and that it actually stems from Marley still, right? Like, I think again, this is a big reason why I love One Piece too, is like things will come back hundreds, 200 chapters later. And it's like, oh, it makes sense that it's this way in the story, right? Like, I think a lot of the time, the really big reveals when they happen in One Piece feel justified and earned in the same way that I feel like Attack on Titan does the same thing, right? Where something was brought up years and years and years ago that you maybe haven't thought of, but the through line's been there. Characters haven't been acting against that agenda throughout the course of the story, right?
I feel like that was true with Kuma and a lot of the revelations that we got recently with him.
Yes, with the Sorbet Kingdom and with Bonnie, and then understanding like when Bonnie was there at Sabaody, and like all of this stuff with Zoro and her saying to Zoro, like, you can't touch the celestial dragons because she obviously was born as a celestial dragon. Like, there's a lot of stuff there. And again, I feel like that's a big reason why I gravitate to Attack on Titan in One Piece, is because these series have those kind of cyclical, amazing moments that only their authors could do. Yeah.
So it's definitely top 3.
For sure. Oh, Attack on Titan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are days where it's top 1 for me.
You said that in the stream too.
Yeah. That's not even Dark Roger talking. That's me, like, legitimately. My 3 favorite are Attack on Titan, One Piece, and Hunter x Hunter. And depending on the day, they shift. Depending on the chapter, they shift.
Yeah.
I think the problem is now, right, that One Piece and Hunter x Hunter technically are still both ongoing.
Yeah.
So there's moments to reach certain heights for both of them. But that also means there are moments in which they could screw up. Yeah. And I will be the first person, if One Piece has a bad ending or Hunter x Hunter ends badly, to be like, this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it. Like, I've been following this. This isn't it. This doesn't feel the same. And I think some people aren't prepared for that future, and I am. And maybe that's the nihilist in me, maybe, who was like, yeah, Attack on Titan's messages. Look, people are always gonna be bad. But like, I feel like it's better to go in with the low expectations that it's not going to be everything you thought it was and more, than to go in thinking you're going to get everything and then be disappointed.
Well, expectations are resentments in waiting. So to expect anything is a resentment in waiting.
Yes,
just go in and experience something and be in that moment.
And I think that transitions into something real quick I want to talk to you two about, because I think this is happening more and more on social media now, and why I think it is so important to have people just be able to share their opinions and like something or not like something and not have everything just be super hot and super cold is because as we near the end of One Piece, and because there's a lot of new people who are getting into One Piece now because of Wano and Gear 5 and the hype and they're getting the live action and all this other stuff, I think it's supremely important to remember that a lot of things, pre-time skip, a lot of stuff, a lot of matchups people might have wanted to see, a lot of characters coming back will probably never come back. And a lot of like through lines in the story may never be picked up on. Now, obviously, the big moments, right? Like Zoro versus Mihawk, of course that's going to happen, right? There's no world, we're going to Elbaf, right? We're going to have certain fights. We're going to find out what the One Piece is. That kind of stuff we know is going to happen. But I think the expectations of like people who really are like, if I don't get this fight by the end of the series or this interaction, that like it's trash. That is the worst type of mindset to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're going in like that and you just want this one thing to happen and Oda's writing the story one way, like I know some people would go, well, that's hypocritical, Roger, because you didn't like the timer. It's like, no, I didn't like the timer week to week. But he fleshed it out in a way where literally in the next chapter, I was sitting there, you could even see it in my reaction. I was just like, Oda, I love you, buddy. I love you. I love you. He literally has Vegapunk say, it doesn't matter. We can make it like 7 minutes. We don't even have to wait the full 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. And I was just like, Oda, I love you, man. I love you. Like, it was almost like he was speaking through the camera to me to be like, look, I know this thing is stupid. Like, we're just going to move on and show you the Gorosei, you know? And so for me, like that didn't matter. But I think moving off of Wano Country, right? Like when you look at the amount of time that was spent with Yamato and invested in that character for it to go where it ended, to me, it didn't work. And some people just love Yamato, and that's fine. And it's like, I'm glad we got the time to spend with that character, and that's it. And I like Yamato too. Yeah. But the way in which the story was spending so much time with that character said to me, this character is going to be a Straw Hat or very important moving forward. Not pulling a Jinbei, even if it is a Jinbei situation of like, I'm going to stay behind until the end of the series, right? But then by that point, if you're staying behind until the final war, like you're not a Straw Hat, bro.
Yeah, you're showing up for
You're
the
coming
playoffs.
in, yeah, exactly. Vivi at least can kind of earn it because she was there with Alabasta and it's like, you know, is grandfathered in.
Right.
Yamato can't show up at the One Piece and be like, oh, by the way, I'm the scribe of the crew and I'm the 12th member. It's like, okay.
No, I mean, with Vivi, it makes sense. But I mean, you know, it's just like the dream thing. People have different priorities now. You know, it's like, oh, I can't right now. Yamato said, I can't right now because I have to fulfill, you know, researching and, you know, going into Wano before, like I haven't before. So it makes sense.
Yeah. This is where I come in as somebody who's been reading it weekly on YouTube since Dressrosa is like, the reason why certain tropes hit me in the way that they do, where it's like people will go, whoa, it's not that big of a deal. But it's like, to me, I've been here before. I was there with the timer in Dressrosa. I was there with the birdcage. I was there week to week with the seducing woods running through it. I was there week to week with all the stuff in Wano Country with the prison and Big Mom's amnesia. And now we're here. So that's the thing that frustrated me because Egghead, and I think you both agree with this, to me is like unquestionably the best post-time skip arc. Without a doubt.
Easy.
Super consistent, really well written.
Absolutely.
Great moments of emotional highs, really great action sequences. It's just really consistent. And that one little blip here or there really doesn't take away from the whole story for me. Whereas when I go back and reread Wano Country, like Yamato is such a massive part of that arc. And so much of that arc is spent being like, I am going to join the Straw Hat crew. That is my dream. I'm going to be like Odin and be your scribe and travel with you to the One Piece. The entire arc is spent like this. And I think I would have excused it. I would have excused all of it. I feel like I'm a crazy person right now, the way I'm talking.
No.
I would have excused all of this had Kinemon died. But Kinemon not dying and that stupid fart joke and getting split in half and, oh, Law actually never put me back together in Punk Hazard takes away all of the emotional weight of that moment of Luffy standing up there.
Yeah.
That great moment in the anime, right?
Yeah.
Where he's standing there in episode 1000, looks down at the samurai killed on the ground, knowing their dream, nearly like tearing up and then going, I'm going to fulfill your dream for you. It kills it. Because then if Kinemon's still alive, the only ones that die are Izo and Ashura Doji and Yasu, right? If Kinemon is still alive, why does Yamato need to stay as the guardian of Momo? Yeah. There's no reason. Kinemon's alive. The other samurai are alive. They can,
all of them.
They can
all
of them.
Yeah.
Other than Izo, who literally came in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And Ashura Doji, who wasn't even with them until the Straw Hats came to Wano Country. So That's my problem with the Yamato thing. It wasn't that Yamato didn't join. It was that it took away from the story at large to spend time building up this thing with this character to lead to the payoff of I'm going to leave with the Straw Hats and we're going to find out some truth about the world.
Totally.
And so then to have that, like I said, the Jimbei moment of being like, I'll see you guys later maybe. I have things I got to do. Like, at the very least, I'm happy that we're getting the cover story with Yamato now, right?
Right.
Where that could, and we've seen this in Egghead already with the stuff with Kuzan, that could directly lead into our story in Elbaf, right? We might just end up being like, oh yeah, and then now Yamato's going to go to Elbaf, and here we are, we're all together again. But I don't think that's the case. I think that's probably like tying into stuff with Pluton and Old Wano,
Yes.
and like especially having Momo and Yamato be the ones to discover it when Law and Robin were the ones seeing it with the Old King. I feel like Yamato and Momo have to have the moment that Law and Robin did, seeing Old Wano, discovering Pluton there, and that eventually leading to Final War, which then squeezes no time in there for Yamato to then go to Elbaf and be like, you're going to be the scribe.
Well, you're talking about squeezing of time, which is
Yeah.
why my version of that, or my expectation that I think has been tempered, that I think a lot of people expect to happen, is Usopp to me is not getting a training arc in Elbaf.
I agree.
Usopp is
We are
Elbaf's
on the
not even gonna
same
be his
wavelength
arc.
on this.
I don't
Yes.
even know if it's going to be his arc.
I think he'll play a significant role. I do. And because of the stuff with Loki, right? With Loki being the god of mischief, Usopp being the liar, Usopp having this idea of what the giants are, these noble people meeting Loki, who then like isn't going to be noble, right? Like wanted to marry off one of Big Mom's kids, got upset when it wasn't actually Lola. Like there's a lot of stuff that we're going to discover with the actual hierarchy of the giants, like the royal giants, like the guardians of Elbaf, that I think people aren't really thinking about how that's going to tie in with Usopp, but I think a lot of it will. But I'm right there with you that like people expecting this to be an Usopp training arc are kind of, I think, the same people who were probably burned by people thinking Wano was going to be a Zoro training arc.
Or even Egghead being Frankie's arc.
Or yes,
That was a
or
huge
Egghead being
one.
Frankie's or Whole Cake being Sanji's. I would
Yeah.
at least make the argument that of any of those,
Sanji.
Sanji's the one that at least kind of did get his own arc.
Yep.
Like it
Yeah.
felt as much Sanji's arc as it felt Luffy's.
Oh, 100%.
Whereas like Wano feels split among 5-6 different characters.
or even more.
Yeah, Egghead is not even remotely Frankie's arc. Like not even close.
I know. It made
which
me
is such
so
a bummer.
sad.
Yeah. So I think it's good to go in with those expectations that Usopp's not going to have an enormous role to play, but he's still going to have a role to play.
Of course he's going to have a role to play, but Elbaf, I'm sorry, is not going to be just his arc or just his training arc.
There's too much to cover, especially with
Oh,
Robin and Saul, and obviously all the stuff with Shanks being there and what that means for Luffy and the
I
truth
don't
of
know.
the
I have a
world.
theory that Shanks isn't going to be there when Luffy rolls up.
Agree with you. I think so.
Because Shanks is just, every time Luffy gets closer and closer to this man, he backs out.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And even his like decision to go after the One Piece we've talked about is just like, okay, Shanks, okay.
He's like, maybe I should just do it now.
I know.
That's literally how he says it.
Not-
Yeah.
I was so shocked. And
Yeah.
you know, I would think that Luffy's classified as a great pirate now, but
I guess not if Shanks doesn't want
Shanks
to meet
isn't
him.
pulling up.
See, do you think that maybe that line about like, maybe I should go for it now is sort of like, my time has come now. Like Luffy's coming to his own. It's my time to be a stopgap.
But
Right?
even-
Like he has to overcome me to then get to this thing.
That's what I think.
We've been waiting for, right?
Yeah,
Which
I
is not
feel-
like a villainous thing. I don't think it's like a villainous thing, regardless of the Gorosei connections or all the stuff that's
The
going
Holy
on there
Knights
with
and
the holy
everything. Yeah.
the Holy Knights and Figureland, and I don't think like Shanks is evil or whatever. I don't buy into the theory that like Shanks is some evil celestial dragon, but I do think there is going to be something in which Shanks is like, I need to test your strength, Luffy. But I don't see a world in which it's like a one-on-one like fight because they have such different ideals,
No, I maybe. I don't know.
It could be a situation where, like you said, he has to test because obviously, Shanks wasn't there when Roger was at Laugh Tale.
Yeah.
Roger saw something that made him laugh,
Yes.
but then whispered something to Shanks
Right.
that made him cry. And it could be that like, it could have been a lot of things, but part of it could have also been like, you have to be
There for the next generation,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's which is what I always thought he said to him.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think, in terms of Shank, I mean, to me, I've said this before. I don't know if you guys heard the video or saw the video. I think strongly, Laugh Tale is the end of the series. I used to think Laugh Tale would be before Final War. And now after hearing more of Oda's comments, I'm like, when he's like, no, when we get to the One Piece, that's the end. I kept thinking like, but the One Piece is going to reveal a truth about the world, right?
Yeah.
And that truth about the world is going to propel us into taking action. I kind of feel like that's what Egghead is now.
No, it is.
With Vegapunk straight up being like, we're
No,
going to
it
reveal whatever the truth about the world is, I think he's going to reveal there. And I think what the One Piece is going to end up being is very similar to like what we heard about in Zoe with the poneglyphs, right? Where they said, look, you actually know way more than you were supposed to know. You're supposed to get to the end of the Grand Line, get to Lodestar, find the first thing that then tells you about the other poneglyphs, and then you find the road poneglyphs, and then you find Laugh Tale. So we're doing things out of order, right? So I kind of feel like Shanks and Buggy and Blackbeard and Luffy all make it out of Final War and get to Laugh Tale.
Yeah.
And that it's free-for-all battle.
Yep.
Not Final War-esque. Like, I think the Final War will happen, or it could be concurrent. But I think the fight among the Yonko will be at Laugh Tale proper.
I
Well,
think
yeah,
so,
because I mean, they're fighting for the One Piece. They're, you know,
Right.
the fight, the war is about what the state of the world is.
Right.
Learning that mystery, and I think that's that's the huge incident of Egghead, because who knows more than Vegapunk?
Of course.
Like,
And the only one of the three that would make sense to me to not be there at Laugh Tale, right? Or to potentially die beforehand, or to be a propellant for Luffy to actually get even more brutal and have his Gon moment, right? Where his Nen kicks off, right?
Yeah. His straw hat gets really tall.
Someone kills Shanks and he can't get
Yeah.
the straw hat back. And if someone's going to kill Shanks, I think it's going to be Blackbeard. The ties are there. Like, and if
Oh.
Blackbeard is that person and we take care of Emu and the Gorosei and all this stuff at Final War before Laugh Tale, Blackbeard's final villain. Blackbeard versus
Yes.
Luffy.
I believe that 100%. I
Yeah.
don't believe Eam. I don't believe anybody other than Blackbeard is the final
Yeah.
villain.
Well,
I believe
maybe-
that there's even a world where Blackbeard might get the One Piece first.
I could see that happening as well, like a Treasure Island type deal.
Yeah.
for
and
sure.
Blackbeard's like, I don't want this.
He's like, I think if anything, he's like, I want the power that comes.
Oh,
from
the
it.
power
Yeah,
for
right.
sure.
right.
But
yeah, I think maybe Eam and Shanks, like, I could see being a battle.
I could see that for
I
sure.
don't see that. I mean, because his ties with the Holy Knights. I mean, Holy Knights.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
yeah.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the,
you're
I was
right,
like,
you're
wait,
right.
I was thinking of Code Geass. Sorry.
Oh, no,
the
you're
Knights
Knights of the
of the
Round.
Yeah, Knights of the Round. Yeah,
Yeah, I could totally see that being a matchup too.
Yeah. I feel like too, the other thing that people don't take into consideration, and the thing I brought up earlier in terms of like how much time we have left with the series, right? Regardless of whether or not it's another 4 years, it's another 5, whatever, we are in the final saga. This is it. We're here.
Yep.
And so to me, the only way to make it make sense, because you can't have Zoro and Mihawk and Luffy and Blackbeard, right? Those need their own time to breathe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they also can't happen far away from each other, because when Zoro beats Mihawk, he becomes the world's greatest swordsman. They cannot be super far away. So a battle royale on Laugh Tale between the Yonko makes perfect sense to me, because then you could have final battle for Zoro is Mihawk could happen at the same time that Luffy's fighting Blackbeard, because you know damn well Luffy versus Buggy is going to be a Looney Tunes funny little
Yeah.
goofy thing, of Buggy running away and Luffy doing stupid stuff
Yeah.
to him, which then leaves Sanji, right? We're like, who could Sanji potentially fight at the end? And it's like right there in the cross guild, this crocodile.
Yeah.
It makes so much, because first off, acknowledges himself as Mr. Prince back in Alabasta prior to knowing anything about the stuff with Germa.
Yeah.
2, what is the number one trope that you always see with characters with sand powers in any piece of medium? There's a fire character that turns their sand to glass. This happens
true.
in Spider-Man. This
Spider-Man
happens
was
in
what I was thinking of.
everything. And I think Crocodile, with the way that he's hyped up, right? People joke and they're like, yeah, Crocodile would be washed by Mihawk or whatever. But in the eyes of the world, right? Mihawk and Crocodile are the 2 right-hand men of Buggy, which
Yeah.
then means if you're the wings of the future Pirate King or whatever, you would probably have Sanji and Mihawk go up against the 2 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, Sanji and Zoro go up against Mihawk,
Mihawk and
and
Crocodile.
That'd be wild if Sanji and Crocodile. That'd be crazy. But I do feel like Sanji and Crocodile has a lot of stuff that's like leaning towards it. And I also feel like would be a great final matchup for Sanji to really show his strength, because I personally feel Croc has gotten a huge buff. Not just bounty wise, but I think the man's got Conqueror's Hockey now. I think he's got like all 3 forms of hockey.
Did you see you did? I saw your video just came out recently. As of this recording,
Yes.
the Lucci Awakened Lucci
Oh my
versus
God,
Gear
that
5.
episode was so good.
Yeah, and
So good.
Lucci similarly has gotten so crazy
Yes.
that he's holding his own, and I didn't even realize the intensity of it until I saw it animated. How he's holding his own for that long in against Gear 5.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
like Luffy has gone way up in
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
wouldn't Croc be the same?
And especially with like Awakening, like with what we know about Awakening, like if you're going to have a character awaken their powers, dude, like awakened crocodile would be horrifying. And especially if you think about like what comes with not having the rain, right? Famine.
Yeah.
What's Sanji's whole thing? He wants everybody to cook, right? Everyone deserves a good meal. Like there's a lot of stuff that ties in there with like droughts and famine and Sanji wanting to feed everybody, and then like the fire and the sand and the glass and the royalty connections, the Mr. Prince stuff. Like there's a lot. I think that sets up that fight. And I think that's a fight that not as many people are talking about, but I do feel like will be endgame, like final at Laugh Tale potential fight matchup for
I
Sanji.
see it, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever even heard that
No.
because, like you said, a lot of
Getting a
people are
Rogers
talking
based
about
original.
it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Exclusive.
See, even though I don't do theory videos, every once in a while I do throw something out there.
there's
You
a lot
had to
there.
after that
Yeah.
mention of the Big Mom theory. I just
Yeah. Yeah.
Cobra.
Big Mom. Oh.
I mean, Roger, we could talk
One
to
of the
you
worst.
literally all
Yeah, we could.
day
Yeah, we
long.
need to.
You're easy to talk to, and we love talking to you.
I
But we
appreciate
do
it.
have a game that we have to get into.
Of course,
Yes.
with my girlfriend. Of
Yes.
course, we got to bring her in.
Yes. So we're going to cut away really quickly. You're going to set everything up, and then we're going to get right into the game with Roger and Reagan.
Woo!
And cut. That's going to do it for our conversation with Roger's Base. We finally got him. We finally got to sit down in studio on camera to talk to him on the channel. Huge shout out to Roger for coming, and huge shout out to you guys for being so supportive and so kind throughout this entire series. This is something that's been kind of different for us, and you guys have been nothing but kind and supportive, and we just want to let you know how much we appreciate that. Season 2 is something that we really want to do and plan on doing down the road. So remember to subscribe, to like this video, to leave your comments, to let us know that you enjoy these kinds of conversations and that you'd like to see more. If for some reason you're not subscribed to Roger, we'll link to his channel and everywhere you can follow him in the description down below. And stay tuned for the finale, part 3 of this video, the game Roger versus Reagan, that will be coming out very soon or will already be out depending on when you're watching this. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that's always the same and never changes, which today is we'll see you in part 3.